Hello, everybody. We should be live. How are we doing? Today is the day where content creators and the press have officially lifted an embargo covering a certain first act of the game. I think it's about 6 to 3 hours of the game they can talk about, and we have a bunch of press impressions to go over. I am not going to be watching any videos today besides one, and we'll watch that one at the end. I want to keep this as spoiler free as possible because I am in the same boat as everybody else. I didn't get invited to play the game early, so I am also trying to avoid as many spoilers as possible. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a lot of the articles that a lot of the press have made and at least read those and avoid as many video spoilers as we can. There may be bits in there, bits of the plot, so I did put a spoiler warning in this title because unfortunately there may be a few things that they may mention in the opening act. So we will be reading those bits, but in terms of like seeing opening bits, seeing a lot of the game, seeing a lot of the other stuff, we're not going to be doing that besides one video that we'll watch at the end. So for those who don't want to watch that, you won't have to. But he's my favorite content creator and I haven't even seen his video yet. I really want to watch it, so I figured we could watch that together. And that is Mr. Matty Plays. And I think he's on like a 30-minute video. So yeah, the plan is really to go over a lot of press impressions, see what they're saying about Dragon Age, looking at some that, you know, I don't really particularly, I have a few favourite press articles and publications out there, but seeing what a diverse range of them are saying so we can really kind of just build the best case for a lot of different impressions on this game, kind of building a picture of every kind of fan. So we will we'll dive into all of that. Hello everybody. I can see the chat now picking up. The CC is crazy. I literally haven't watched any of the videos. I've just got a good list here of articles that we're going to read through, but I haven't even seen that. And I mean, I don't mind watching that one, to be fair. It's just now we're entering that stage where we're so close. I want to try and I want some surprises for this game. You know, I know that like we're only seeing bits of it, but we've waited 10 years and for it to get spoiled by press and creators, I'm like, "Ugh." But I get it. So we're gonna go over a bunch of gaming impressions. But how is everybody doing today? Villainous Kitty, you are too kind. Hello, DeCaster, how you doing? Waxy, Villainous Kitty. Rats, I'm going to spend 2 days in the character creator. Yes. And that's the thing, like, there are other articles and other bits of news that we're going to talk about today as well, because I've seen Eurogamer have posted a really interesting tidbit of news based on an interview that they did with one of the developers, Villainous Kitty. Spoil me. Yeah, that's... I mean, I think we're at a point where we've had so many spoilers, it's like, like, I'm okay. I'm content, but we'll see what these articles bring. So yes, spoiler warning, just in case these articles talk about like, you know, Mafal coming back and now taking over Solas's soul, or you know, the executives actually being the Veilguard, the veil jumpers, or whatever. Like, who knows? So just in case, because I don't know any of these articles, I haven't read them. We're reading them all together. This is live. Instead of doing a video on this and gathering a bunch of articles, I figured let's just stream it together, read them together, because I know a bunch of my audience is in America anyway. So no doubt you're waking up, you're starting your days, you probably haven't had the time to read. I've just finished work, so I can actually hop on and we can all read these together. It's a good, and we can just really talk about really whatever we want to in regards to this current point of the Veilguard, because I am literally in the same boat. I am like one of the rare creators who, like, I'm in the same boat as most of you guys. You know, I don't have a working relationship with BioWare. I haven't played the game early. I don't have any of the insights that a lot of other creators do. So I'm really, you know, the best representative of this fandom because just like you all, I am a fan and I don't have that inside scoop or that inside knowledge. So yeah, I'm really just reacting to this as trying to be as spoiler free as possible with that bit of intrigue of like, I want to see what's going on, but at the same time, you know, we've waited 10 years for this game. I don't want it to be spoilt all before a month and a bit before the game comes out. Let me tell you how long we have, folks. Let me look at my calendar. We have 42 days, depending on your time zone. Could be 41. Thank you, Villainous Kitty. I appreciate that. It does. Thank you. No, thank you. That's the thing, because when the game does come out, I don't have a working relationship with BioWare. I'm going to give you my honest take. Like, this is it. And, you know, depending on what they're doing with the story and the choices and consequences, that will be hopefully a positive take. But that's it. It will be a very authentic take because, you know, I'm not in on the inside. But yeah, no. We'll jump on with. Shall we start with IGN? I don't know. Do we start with IGN? I think we'll start with IGN, and we'll go from there. We've got articles lined up by IGN, by Kotaku, by Eurogamer, GameSpot. Lots of reading. Games Radar, PC Games. Lots of just trying to get as many different opinions from the press as possible, so we can really kind of understand what they're all thinking. Because there'll be different types of fans, of those who've waited 10 years for this game, to those who, you know, barely care about Dragon Age. 11 a.m. just waking up. Ah, nice, Waxy. Rats, I only saw some of the character creator. Don't want much else because creators can give some serious spoilers. And that's the thing as well. Like, and I completely understand it. I'm a creator in the space too. But there are a lot of creators who aren't as hardcore as we are. Lore fiends, tinfoilers. And they may, unharmlessly to them, show some footage from the early game. And they're just capturing content that completely get it. But for us, that could be like, by the way, Elganon, you know, has like something that's like a massive lore mystery that is, or just even like the small bits. And I get it, they're not by any means trying to cause any spoilers or anything like that. But for us who waited so long, we are very much in that mentality. So yeah, nom nom. let's feast, Shelly Bean. I know I say this all the time, Shelly, but I love your name. So we're gonna start with IGN, and again, well, there's only so much I can do about spoilers. I haven't read these, so we will see what IGN is saying. So, again, another spoiler warning just in case, but we're going to jump straight into this. So this is by Alicia Mora and posted today. So, after 10 years, we're now just a little over a month away from playing the Veilguard. I played a hefty 7 hours of BioWare's first original game since Anthem in 2019 and fourth mainline installment in the Dragon Age series, starting with the prologue and later loaded into several different saves. As a long-time fan, what I'll say is 10 years is a very long time, but so far the Veilguard hasn't disappointed. Good. I mean, as all of us here have been in this long way, that's great to hear. It hasn't disappointed so far. Getting into character. Now, I could talk to you about the combat, and I will, or the gorgeous locales, that's coming too, or the way it felt to see Varric and Stolas again. Or I could skip straight to the character creator to start with. Yes, there's so much hair. Look, I loved Inquisition, but fans have long acknowledged the limitations of its character creator. What you mean, like the 5 variations of bald? The Veilguard blew me away in that regard. After the lackluster options of the last entry, it's wild to see what we've got to look forward to. 30 hair options for Qunari, ooh, and 88 for non-Qunari, ooh, complete with gorgeous physics as Rook scurries through northern Thedas. So many different hair textures are represented, whether you like totally straight hair, 2B waves or 4C curls. In making my character, I was drawn immediately to a long braid that whipped around as quickly as I did. Hell yeah. I mean, 88 variations for non-Qunari, and then 34 Qunari. Hell yeah. Anybody who has any questions, also fire them away. I will scroll through the chat as well. I do see Ada Hin asking a really cool question. So fire them away and we'll get to them. There'll be conversation throughout this as well. Qunari horns also see a massive improvement with 4 to 9 unique styles. Options range from large and imposing to decorative or even asymmetrical. That said, yes, their foreheads can look pretty jarring. Okay. I played as a Qunari mage during most of my preview, and will say I got used to the look pretty quickly. Oops, one mistake. Drago N-Age, the Veilguard, actually only marks the second game of the series where you can play as a Qunari. So the odd imbalance of forehead versus face feels like stylistic growing pains. I remain curious about whether more time with the character creator might help. The Arishok of DA2 is, in my opinion, such a beautifully crafted model, and I would love to be able to create a Qunari Rook that feels as memorable. Okay, fair critique, fair critique. He definitely is a beautifully crafted model, I will agree. City Carty, I have not seen that, no. And I would definitely consider that a spoiler. Flippin' heck, no. Every aspect of your rook is editable, even allowing for facial asymmetry if you choose. Good. Customization certainly doesn't stop at hair or horns, of course. Every aspect of your rook is editable, even allowing for facial asymmetry if you choose. Sliders allow you to change everything from head shape to the melanin in your skin to the presence of vitiligo. Vitiligo? However you say it. Perhaps my favourite addition, however, is the introduction of body diversity. Definitely something we've asked for. I know we already know it's in this anyway, based on previews, but it's good to hear about it. Which is more similar to, where are we? Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate 3 had whiffs of this, but nowhere near what you're capable of in the Veilguard. Ooh. Which is more similar to the breadth of the character creator, indeed, in Dragon's Dogma 2. Again, that's really cool to hear, and it's something we've all been asking for. In the same vein as DD2, can they release the character creator early, though? Please? Yeah, body diversity, hell yeah. For each of the 4 races, there are plenty of presets to choose from, all with varying heights and muscle/fat distribution. Once you've chosen your preset, however, you can build further upon those elements as much as you'd like. Brilliant. First is a triangulation of coordinates allowing for many unique combinations of body types that are thinner, larger, or more muscular. Height sliders are fun, especially when it means watching my particular short elf ruin years of Solas's ritual planning by pushing over a statue. Brilliant. The options feel almost endless. There's even a glut slider, and yes, I gave my rook one hell of an ass. All of this is only scratching the surface. I haven't even gotten into facial hair, makeup, scars, or tissues. As an elf, my rook sported some Vaseline, but there are so many different designs for both the face and the body to experiment with. Well, here we go. Well, I didn't spend very much time exploring customization for the Inquisitor. I just know we'll all get the chance to make them in the way we've always imagined. Also, it may be a bit of a relief to some of you to know that the Veilguard abandons the awful green lighting of the Inquisition's character creator and instead allows you to cycle through several lighting options in service of creating rooks that look just as good in gameplay as they do when you create them. Very reassuring. Now, IGN have released a video of just the CC. If you do want to watch it, personally, I kind of want to experience it myself unless we get an early... we'll talk about an article next on that, unless we get it early. But really excited to hear, just, again, we already know that stuff, but just to hear the impressions of that. It's not BioWare telling us, it's not Game Informer telling us from, like, you know, a campaign. Just the impressions there. It's great to hear that they're having a lot of fun with it. They gave their rook one hell of an ass. But the body diversity and the fact that it has been attributed to being similar to Dragon's Dogma 2... I made the same comparison that I would like in a video about a month or 2 months ago. And honestly, Dragon's Dogma 2's character creator is the best character creator I've ever played in a video game. The Veilguard being attributed to that is a huge compliment. All I ask, and we'll talk about it in a minute, is can we just get it early so we can all spend... Like, even in Dragon's Dogma 2, I spent... And it's not that long compared to how long we'll spend in the Veilguard, but I spent 6 hours creating my pawn and my Arisen. And, like, you know, it takes so much time to do that. Please give it to us early so when Halloween comes, we're not all dressed in our Halloween outfits, ready to play the Veilguard and spending the entire day creating the characters. Because we ain't just creating Rook, we're creating the Inquisitor too. So, yeah, again, we'll touch upon that in the next article. But just really great to hear about that in even more detail. Combat, meanwhile, was a refreshing change from Inquisition. My go-to class has always been Mage, and even as a Knight Enchanter, I often feel like I was standing in one place holding down the left trigger. This felt like a return to the pace of Dragon Age 2, with innovations that improve upon the experience of battle overall. The Veilguard introduces a new fighting style for mages, featuring an orb and dagger tailored for close quarters combat. It's tailor-made for players like me who love magic, but also really like to stab. Yes, please chat manifest CC early. Exactly, Just Cowboy. It's the best marketing campaigns. And I've been okay with BioWare's marketing. It's been fine. but it allows it to market itself organically, where it's like you're not having people attached to the game marketing it, you're not having the press marketing it, you're not having whatever market it. You're having just people play the game and go, oh, actually, this CC is really cool. I'm actually going to play this game now because that was brilliant for DD2. It was a fantastic, marketing campaign. Brilliant. Because, Dragon's Dogma 2 was like a hugely successful game. But even before then, it's always been quite a niche RPG. So, like, as much as the hype for it was pretty big, like, it wasn't as big as expected, and it actually succeeded their expectations, which is fantastic. But to do that, it's brilliant PR. Everybody was talking about it, and everybody was in there because you can create a character with one of the best character creator systems ever created, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions. And it worked like a treat. It was brilliant. Because you're like, you know what? I've spent so much time creating this character, I may as well buy the game. Anyway, I know that the side effect that people do talk about is the fact that when the Dragon's Dogma 2 character creator dropped, people data mined the game and they got some leaks from it, so I understand that there is also a worry there. I do get that. Anyway, moving on. Combat was a refreshing change from Inquisition. During my preview, I played through the prologue and then dropped forward in various points of Act 1. So I really got to quickly experience the progression Rook and their companions can go through as fighters. We may not be able to take control of our companions this time around, which I think is I'll have to see how it goes. But a big part of Dragon Age for me is being able to play as Liliana or take control as Varric, and I do like that. But we'll see how it works. But yeah, I'm not overly optimistic about that. But the Veilguard really encourages strategizing with them. They'll call out to you when they've rebuilt their mana or stamina, and the ability wheel can suggest combos. My focus during the event was mission driven, so I didn't get as much of a chance to interact with the characters as I would have liked. But even the brief moments of banter endeared me to them pretty quickly. Great. Each class gets its own ultimate ability, think like the focus ability in Inquisition, along with a ranged attack. For warriors, that means yeeting your shield like a giant metal boomerang. I've always played Dragon Age for story and not combat, but with this new system, I had so much fun. Great! I felt present during every encounter and truly accomplished after every boss battle. That said, there's definitely a bit of a learning curve. I still found myself confusing controls a few hours in. It's a departure from the 3 previous installments, but luckily the Veilguard offers 5 different difficulty levels that you can change at will if you want to ease yourself in. Really appreciate that. I am in a similar camp, and hopefully there are other press people who talk more about the combat, but I'm in a similar camp as this writer because I play Dragon Age for the story, not the combat. But having said that, that doesn't mean it's not important. It is a game after all, and you play a game for its fun. And I get it, Dragon Age is fun. It's in its story, in the dialogue systems, and the characters, and the choices and consequences. But even so, like I do want more of the people who are focused on combat to offer their impressions. So hopefully we'll get more of that because I do want to hear, like, from a proper RPG combat point of view, of what people are thinking about it. Just because I know a lot of us, and I know like even chat, I assume a lot of us play Dragon Age for the story. So it would be good to hear someone's proper actual critiques of the combat. Because I'm looking at it and going, yep, looks great. I'm going to smash through that as a warrior. And you know what? I'm not ashamed to say I'm going to play it on an easier difficulty because I care about the story and I want to go through the story and enjoy it. So I'm going to play it on an easier difficulty. I want to get that story. I care more about that. But at the same time, it's a game and it should be fun. So yeah, we'll have to read on and see what other people say about that. The Dragon Age 3 decade ends soon! Ooh, soon! Soon trademark. Soon trademark, like Mark Darrow would say. Villainous Kitty, yes! Villainous Kitty, yes. Word for you. I see. I see. That's brilliant. That's brilliant, I see. I have a new sir. Hello, Heaven, how you doing? Exactly, Chloe's Dragon. I'm in the same boat. I wouldn't care if it's crap because I'm not playing it for that. But at the same time, I would like to know what people who do care about that stuff think about it. So we'll read on. We will read on. As a long-time fan, the Veilguard felt like a homecoming of sorts. Hell yes! Just as much as seeing familiar faces in Solas and Varric, I was overjoyed to be back in the world of Thedas itself. Moving us north allows that sense of discovery I got in Inquisition, and if I'd encourage anything, it's to really look at your surroundings. Ooh. Not only are there small environmental puzzles to untangle along with small and effective moments of visual storytelling, but the horizon is full of breathtaking scenery that drives home the scale of these locations I've personally always wondered about. One new slight spoiler on a new location. One new locale, for instance, is a gorgeous underwater prison called the Ossuary. That's in Navarra. That's in I think that's near the necropolis. I only know that because of the Dragon Age Day short stories. I won't spoil what you're there to do, but the design alone makes it one of the most memorable moments I've had in any Dragon Age game. Woo! Hell yeah! And this is the end of the article. Even after hours of gameplay, I've still felt like I could have played for many more hours. I'm optimistic about the Veilguard and excited for it in a way I haven't quite felt about another game in quite some time. If you'd like to see more of the game, check out our exclusive IGN First coverage where we explore more. So, pardon me, good impressions, very much kind of similar to what we know, so it wasn't spoiling anything, besides revealing a new location, which was fine. Heads up, the IGN video version spoils. Oh, thank you, Emrat. Thank you, Emrat. Appreciate that. Yeah, we won't watch that, but it's good to know that this was really good for it kind of being spoiler-free-ish. Confirming what we already know, but actually with someone's impressions from IGN, who, in their opinion, it's nailing the character creator, and they did say, while I'll say 10 years is a very long time, so far the game hasn't disappointed. So it's optimistic. We will, before we jump into another impression or another reviewer, impressionist, writer, whatever. There's this article that I want to look at by Eurogamer, and it's just talking about the character creator even further, and it's the fact that BioWare are keen to release the Veilguard character creator before launch, and flipping heck, like, you know, this is something that we just talked about. We're all begging for, to the point where I literally made a 12-minute video being like, right, please can we release it early so we can all get ready for it? So, yeah, this is somebody who's asked the devs this very question. So, let's just jump in and give it a read. Yeah, look at that beard, Emrats. Look at that beard. Yeah. BioWare was surprisingly... Oh, this is by Robert Perkchess, an associate editor at Eurogamer. BioWare was suspiciously coy when asked whether it was considering releasing a standalone character creator for the Veilguard before the game releases on Halloween. When asked at a preview event whether it was under consideration, the game's co-director Corin Bush replied, "It's a much requested feature. We're to be determined on that, but it would be pretty stinking cool." The question itself was asked by outside Xbox's Charming Andy Farrant. I was at the preview event and I played the new Dragon Age game all day, and you can read whether I think it's good. I've got the article linked. And what I learned about... Okay, we'll link that one too. What I learned talking to BioWare about it everywhere else on this site. The character creator itself is fabulous, by the way. BioWare games have always pushed the level of customization available, and the Veilguard is no exception. You can sculpt body sizes. It's body size, yeah, so we know that. But we'll read it anyway. You can sculpt body size and structure, as well as face size and structure, and even determine bulge size or your melanin level, or whether your character has cataracts in one or both eyes. The hair is also a standout feature of the new game. It flows believably and looks less like someone stuck some hair-shaped cardboard to your head, and, well, more like actual hair. Look at that, there's an example. You can choose between 4 races as every other Dragon Age game: human, elf, Canarian, dwarf. And when asked about player choice in this regard, and how BioWare will encourage people to play as all of the races, Bush revealed a telling statistical tidbit. Here we go. So here's a fun fact for you. In Dragon Age Inquisition, only 5% of players ever played a dwarf. What? Flip neck. What we see in our player testing these days in the Veilguard is we're up to 12%, so we'll take it. For what it's worth, I created a dwarf, so I've probably edged those numbers up a bit. What that tells me is the more options you give players to embody the character they want to be, the more engaged they're going to be. We know our players love that. They're hungry for it. One of the things I might also add is that of the 3 core design pillars, be who you want to be was the first. That was the starting point. We wanted everyone to feel like they belong in this game, to the best of our ability, that you could relate to the characters, the options. So that means stellara colour, it means cataracts, it means vitiligo, freckles, respectful skin tones that react to light properly. Should BioWare go ahead and release a standalone character creator before the game comes out, you'll have plenty of time to play around with it. So please, can we get it early? I understand the technical aspects of it. I understand that it's a hard thing to do. I understand. But it's something that we all want. It would be brilliant marketing. It really would be. Especially if, I think the thing is, fair dues, BioWare aren't claiming the character creator to be like Dragon's Dogma 2. They're not marketing it as that. But they have marketed it to say that it is the biggest and the best they've done so far. So if BioWare are marketing that, and that's the selling point of the game, what better way to sell that than by releasing an early demo of it? However they can manage that. I know it's really hard. I understand that completely. But it's something we all want. Literally. I don't know a single person who doesn't want to create their character early, so then come Halloween they can just play the game straight away. Thank you, BioArch, Mr. Wife. No, I did not get invited, but I appreciate you calling me the Dragon Age guy. It means a lot. Anyone know if we can put beards on elves? I believe we can do that. IGN have released an early CC if you do want to check it out. I haven't seen it myself though, but I believe we can. I'm sure they've just said that they really want to be able to like see yourself in these games, so I believe so. I reckon so. Oh no way, Carbal Snarky. Really? Flip it, that's cool. That's cool. Cool. Right, so we're gonna read Robert's follow-up article where he has asked, I believe, the team a bunch of questions. Pardon me. Well, what does this say again? Oh, it's what he's learnt talking to the devs. Thank you, Carbal Snarky. I appreciate it. Thank you. It means a lot. I am cheering you with my tea. No, thank you. I know. I don't have a working relationship with BioWare, unfortunately. So, this is what Robert learnt talking to the devs at this Dragon Age event. I'm just going to finish my tea in one gulp now. That's better. Whoa. It is sleepy tea though, so hopefully I don't fall asleep while reading all this. I don't think I will because the excitement is really there. Thank you, Emrat. Thank you. I appreciate that you like the mug. I think it's a French bulldog. I have my own French bulldog called Winston. So chug. I'm gonna put my fan on. I apologize if it gets a bit noisy, but it's getting hot in here. So I don't think we're ever going to make everyone happy. That is the headline, the subtitle that they're starting with. So I'll zoom in. Actually, I realise this is really zoomed out for you guys, and I'm also gonna sit back and bring this closer. So. Sleepy tea to stop you screaming excitement. Exactly. I was fortunate enough to play the Veilguard for several hours recently, exploring multiple missions and trying multiple characters at multiple levels and using different builds, and it was good. I really liked it. You can read, right, we're going to read that later. You can read my much lengthier impressions on the Veilguard elsewhere on this site. But here I want to cobble together some of the things I learnt while interviewing core game director John Epler and taking part in a group Q&A with other lead developers working on the game. Oh, thank you, Just Cowboy. I'm going to watch Mr. Marty's, definitely. Besides that, I'm not going to watch anyone else's, just Mr. Marty's, because I'm more conscious about video spoilers, but thank you for the heads up. Veilguard has really only been in full production for about 4 years. Yeah. It started production during the pandemic. Technically, it's been 10 years since Inquisition, but that doesn't mean Veilguard has been in full development the entirety of that time. The team has been iterating on ideas ever since Inquisition's add-on, Trespasser, came out. But in terms of the actual game as you're seeing it now, as it's shaped today, I'd say 4 years, John Epler tells me. That's when everything just started to come together and you're like, oh yep, this is what we want. This is what we need for this Dragon Age game. There have been rumours the game has undergone some fairly major revisions during its protracted development time. Absolutely, says Epler when I ask him. The version that we were working on back then and the version working on now, there's definitely similarities. You'll see names that are the same in terms of the major actors. Obviously, Solas is still part of it, but the structure of the game has definitely changed as we refined, as we built, and again, as we really focused on making it a single-player story-based RPG. It's a single-player now, but BioWare did try some multiplayer ideas. BioWare hasn't been shy about... Let me pause this, I don't want you to play. BioWare hasn't been shy about experimenting with multiplayer in the past. Mass Effect... Oh, sorry, I'll pull my little camera down a bit. Mass Effect had a fairly established cooperative multiplayer mode, and Anthem was built around it. Even Dragon Age Inquisition had a dungeon-delving 4-player co-op multiplayer mode. It won't come as a shock then to know BioWare explored having it in its newest Dragon Age game. We tried a bunch of different things. Multiplayer is one of them, Epler said. We tried a few opportunities, how it would work and what didn't. But what it comes down to is we are a studio that's made around, it's been constructed and honestly staffed around building these single-player story-based experiences. So once we start focusing on that, that's when things really came together for us. Brilliant. Read chat quickly. Matty has interview snippets of Corin. Oh, brilliant. Oh, at last, which particular spoiler potential? Is that videos or is that articles? All I'm doing is reading articles and I'm not watching anybody else's videos besides Mr. Matty Plays because I do not want any huge spoilers, really. And mainly for everybody else here. We're just getting the impressions, really. And also news bits. But yeah, if you can let us know which ones in particular, or if it's just more studio. Okay, thank you at last. Yeah. Cool, thank you. Yeah, we're just talking about the articles here. I'm definitely... I will put Mr. Matty's videos on at the end, but that'll be a choice if anybody else wants to stick around and watch that with me. But other than that, we're just talking about articles here. So, there are 3 acts in the game, and it feels large. My day's play was spread across the first act of the game, playing through... Okay, potential spoilers here. Potential spoilers. Playing through character creator right up to level 30 and to a particular mission revolving around the Grey Wardens, which serves as a dramatic climax for the first act of the Veilguard. Okay. It is spectacular in terms of the events unfolding and the size of the enemy it throws at you there. Those of you who played Origins will know the enemy well. Given the level range I experienced, 1 to 30, it's just Act 1 will occupy us for a considerable amount of time. But it's not necessarily a like-for-like calculation, as far as the other acts and their relative lengths are concerned. Oh, Vanna Banana, I saw spoilers, don't do it, can't stop thinking about them. Okay, thank you, Vanna Banana. Appreciate it. Is that for Mr. Matty, or is that for any particular video that you have seen? Yeah, please let us know, Vanna Banana. We've basically broken it down into essentially a 3-act structure. Each act is different though. Not every act is the exact same as the other one. And a lot of the content that's not on the critical path, you can do it any time. Cool. We describe it as context shifts. And at the end of each act, the context shifts. The world changes, and how Rook approaches their fight against the gods is going to change accordingly. So it's not like Dragon Age 2, where if you didn't do that mission in Dragon Age 2 in that act, you can't do it. It seems like if you didn't do a side quest in Act 1, you can still do it in Act 2, which is interesting. Basically, only watch videos. Okay, yeah, okay, cool. Thank you, Pixel Mafia. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just going to watch Mr. Matty's Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh wow. Thanks, Banana Banana. Yeah, I won't watch that. I definitely won't watch that. Thank you though. I appreciate chat just telling us where to avoid if we're trying to avoid those spoilers. That's the thing. I understand it. Some creators don't know, and it's fine. But for those of us who are theory crafters, tinfoilers, you know. Ah, okay. Thank you, Banana Banana. Cool. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay. One of the things I did as well, I did add, one of the things I'd add as well, Veilguard co-director Corin Bush says, is the conclusion of this game needs to matter. Yes, it does. It needs to be the natural conclusion of your efforts and building up the Veilguard and taking on the gods. And Weissab really serves as your first true demonstration of what you're up against. So while it is a large first act, and it is a very climactic mission to cap it off, from my perspective, this is where you really get that sense of the overwhelming power, the stakes of what's here. Brilliant. Just going to quickly scratch my nose because it hurt me. So, for those who saw it, the high-level gameplay that we saw with the Grey Warden that had spoilers in without BioWare actually telling us, that is actually Act 1, which is crazy because we were all assuming that was really, really far into the game, but that's just Act 1. So, yeah, damn. So, in other words, Act 1 may be larger and longer than the others. Well, I mean, if you're going to level 30 in Act 1, that's pretty big. That is quite chunky. BioWare learned its lesson from the infamous Inquisition hinterland slog. Anybody actually like the hinterlands in Inquisition? I didn't mind it. DeCaster in the chat says, John Epler says he's comfortable with the spoilers that are out right now because they're nothing compared to what's in the game. Oh my lord. I didn't mind the hinterlands, to be honest. Yeah, there are going to be 3 acts in this game, with Act 1 being the largest. Yeah, literally villainous kitty. But that kind of happens with each Dragon Age game. At the end of Act 1, like just in the previous Dragon Age games, end of Act 1, Haven in Inquisition. End of Act 1 for Origins, I would say, Ostagar. Yeah, and then end of Act 1 for Dragon Age 2 is when you get the Red Lyrium Idol and you go to the Deep Roads. Yeah. So it's always like, shit hits the fan, and Act 2, and then Act 3. I assume Act 3 would be the shortest act. Because, like, Act 3 in Inquisition, I think, is after you do the Grey Wardens and the Orlesian Court. I'm pretty sure Act 3 in Inquisition is like the Outer Wilds and then the final mission. That's what I would say. There's obviously, you've got, like, the side content in there too and going into other hub worlds and stuff. But I would say, yeah, Act 3 in Inquisition is that cut-off point between meeting Morrigan, basically, and then going into the Alluvian and then going to the Outer Wilds. So, yeah. And then Origins, Act 3 is the Landsmeet. So BioWare learned its lesson from the hinterlands. Inquisition made pretensions at being an open world game. It wasn't natively, but it did have several zones that were equivalent to open world areas, where you had settlements as well as areas of adventure and danger around them. The hinterlands was one of them, but it's a zone now remembered for being a slog, for being a zone filled with collectibles and other arbitrary forms of content designed seemingly just to keep you busy and fill the map up. The difference is the Veilguard is it won't be an open world game. It is, as I heard several times during my demo day, a mission-based game, which is to say the missions are like levels with shaped beginnings, middle and ends. There's the potential to revisit some of them, like the Crossroads, where there are slightly more open-ended things to do, but overall, it's a much tighter and more focused experience. That reminds me of just Dragon Age Origins. You go to the Brazilian forest, you help the werewolves out, and you help Zafrian out, or you do whatever you want to do with Witherthang. You can do some side content in there, and you don't really need a reason to go back. Really, you kind of sort your stuff out there. That's what it sounds like. But I do know that BioWare have said that there are some areas that you want to go back to. So maybe that's just what they've experienced so far. Or it's what they've learned. But I've just heard other things in that regard too. I get it. It's just demonstrating that it's different than Inquisition in terms of you're not just going into these open, hub-based worlds. But it is more mission-based where, right, that level, that area's done, that mission's done, somewhere else. So I get that. It makes the scope bigger, and it means you can go to more locations too. Dislike Empress more than the Hinterlands. Oh, I love Empress. Ah, damn, just cowboy. Just reading chat quickly. Boomstick Gaming has a great analysis of the combat and classes. It's not spoiler 3, but not really bad. It's more like accidental in footage. Oh, thank you, Carbly Snarker. However you said him. Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Cool. Thank you. We wanted it to all feel very deliberate and handcrafted. Yay. So these missions we learned these missions we learnt from lessons from Inquisition. They're not from the Hinterland, sorry. They're not meant to be fetch quests. They have story. They have narrative. They tie into the story of the space, tie into the larger arc of the characters or of the plot, or tie into how the various factions interact with these spaces they inhabit. I'll tell you what, Bush adds. It's hard to book trends sometimes, but we really felt like we could tell the best stories. We could create the most curated moment-to-moment experience by really going back to a mission-based structure. Brilliant. I mean, that's what BioWare do best. Like, the Mass Effect trilogy is all mission-based structure, barring Andromeda, and it's same with Origins and Dragon Age 2. That's what BioWare do best at, and then previous before that, Jade Empire, Baldur's Gate. That's what they're really good at, and that's where they, missed the mark with Inquisition in that regard, and Andromeda, and Anthem. We like the mission-to-mission, handcrafted, curated content, where you've got a little bit of room to do some side quests, but really, it's that curated experience where you can really cram in the story, the narrative, the environmental impact of the world as well, and so many of those facets. So, really good to hear. Yeah, Hissing Wastes. I'm not the biggest. I think probably my least favourite is Hissing Wastes. My favourite is the Frostback Basin from the Jaws of Hakkon DLC. I love that area. The tree houses. Reminds me of the Ewok village in Star Wars. And then I really like Empress de Lyon as well. I really, really enjoyed that and the Red Lyrium tale that it told there. Less control over companions is intended to make them feel more autonomous beings. Now, not to be too critical, I understand what they're going to go with this. But I also feel like it's because they were making a multiplayer game and there were some systems in place where they probably just couldn't make the companions controllable. I don't know games design, I'm just speculating here, but we do know that the game was built on Anthem's core base and it was going to be a multiplayer game. And obviously there were cuts to make there. And so I do feel like, yes, they are justifying it now, but I also do feel like that has a systematic reasoning too. Just my opinion though. Maybe they thought going down this route was going to make the characters feel more autonomous. We'll read on and see what they say. In the Veilguard, a layer of companion micromanagement has been removed. You don't play as them. You can order some of their special attacks and you can equip a few equipment slots and customize bond abilities relative to their bond level with you, but otherwise they are autonomous. They feel like people around you, rather than a party you control. And for what it's worth, I thought it worked well. There was actually more control over them than I'd expected. Okay, that's good. But it's a design decision that comes under some scrutiny as the series seems to move away from being party-based, and that's also a good point too. Baldur's Gate, Dragon Age, these party-based RPGs, a huge integral core thing of the series that it now is still, but isn't really. It's tricky. Our North Star, Bush says, was we wanted you to embody Rook, to step into Rook's shoes, to experience this world on the ground as this character, and what that meant is giving you more autonomy, more control over the character, putting you in control of every single swing, really making it feel like you're a part of this world. And what's more, we talked a lot about, I know a lot of other questions that came up today were about the companions, the depth, the authenticity. We really felt like there was a big opportunity here to make the companions feel more realised, more like their characters that fight alongside you, that have their own styles, motivations, interactions, if you're not actually embodying them. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. But of course, throughout all of that, we do know that in the combat system, that sense of teamwork, of pause and play, tactical depth, has been the through line through every single edition of Dragon Age. So we wanted to walk the fine line of making the teamwork and sense of strategy show up, but also make you feel like you're in this world. But also, Epla adds, part of making the companions feel like their own people, like their own characters, is giving them autonomy as well on the battlefield. You are the leader of this group, but they have their own personalities, their own stories, and we wanted to make sure that you felt that through the gameplay as well. So again, I understand the take. I do get it. I do get it. I just also am going to miss that functionality. But I haven't played the game, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that does work out. The writer Richard of this says that he enjoyed it. He said, for what it's worth, I thought it worked well. So taking his feedback there, cool. I look forward to seeing if I think it works well and what we all think about that compared to the previous Dragon Age games. It'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Okay. You can romance any companion character, but it's not apparently player sexual. I think we already know a lot about this, but we'll read on. BioWare has received flack over the decision to make the Veilguard more openly romantic, in the sense you can romance any companion character in the game, regardless of who your rook is, what their gender is, what their race is. In previous BioWare games, this hasn't been the case. Inquisition famously had Dorian, a gay man, only romance other gay men, and as everyday as this sounds, it was remarkable for the studio at the time. Inquisition also had Solas romance only female elves, so characters there had defined preferences. Pardon me. Whereas now, they don't seem to, and it's caused some aggravation. But it sounds like there may be some preference and differentiation after all. One of the things we wanted to allow is player choice as much as possible. So being able to develop a romance with any character, no matter who your rook is, Epla says. But those romances may play out a little bit differently based on every activity, based on how you built your rook, how you customize them. Co-director Corin Bush then adds, handling romances and romantic options is quite the challenge. And to be honest with you all, I'm not sure there's a right answer on how to approach it. What we felt was best for this game was to make sure that you could romance the companions. But I want to be clear that it's not player sexual. These are fully fleshed out characters that have their own romantic histories, preferences, backgrounds, and that doesn't change based on who you are, the player character are. They don't adapt their personalities to conform to the player, and that's fundamentally the difference. There's merits to it and challenges. We're also mindful to have characters in the world of all orientations, so that we do get that really thoughtful representation again, where people can see themselves. So, brilliant. We kind of already knew that based on, I believe, the Game Informer articles, but good to hear it again represented. Just kind of, I suppose, since people have spoken about it and it's caused some aggravation, as this writer had said, wherever they wrote the word aggravation, I cannot find it, but it was somewhere. Yeah, there it is, aggravation. Anybody have any thoughts on that? I don't really have any thoughts on it, really. I can understand the aggravation when you compare characters like Solas and Dorian. Dorian in particular was crafted based on David Gader's own experiences of being a gay man, and you know, a lot of his story has been really well put into that character, and it's a beautifully told romance story, and I really appreciate that the merits that it does add, and the fact that it just makes it even more real by the fact that Gader puts so much of his own story in that, and then again for Solas only wanting to romance female Levellans as well. At the same time, I do understand the freedom POV. Yeah, same, just cowboy. It's like Baldur's Gate 3 as well, but they're saying that it's not just... It's saying that these characters all have their own unique experiences and preferences and their own histories too. So there's that freedom, but they are also defined characters at the same time. Okay, this is an interesting one, and this is something that I definitely would like to be answered, and we're getting it right now. Hello there, JD Media. General Grievous GIF insert. You can't really be evil in the Veilguard. Okay, right. Let's dive into this one, because this is new. Given my outrageous antics in my Let's Get Evil BG3 series, the ability to negatively affect a world is of prime importance to me. Pardon me. It's actually something that began with Origins many years ago, as Morrigan and a desire for blood magic led me off my normal goody two-shoes path and somewhere darker altogether. But BioWare games have changed since then, and you haven't been able to be evil in them for some years now. I'm not actually sure which the last game was that you could be evil in. Dragon Age 2 was it? Or Star Wars The Old Republic? I mean, you can kill the Chargers, and you can kill Iron Bull if you don't, you know. There are still some evil choices in Inquisition. You can kill Hawk or Alistair, presumably. You can drink from the Well of Sorrows, binding yourself to an elven god that has unwilling consequences that hopefully we're going to find out in the Veilguard or the next Dragon Age game. There are still some evil things you can do. I get what they're saying compared to, like, killing Connor in Origins, but it hasn't completely... I guess I get it with the Inquisitor, and they are the Herald of Andraste, and although regardless of your character's own beliefs of that you are that Herald, I get it, It's a fair criticism, but I would still say there are choices you can make that are somewhat evil, dark, morally grey. Yeah. I don't know, what do you chat? What does chat think? Renegade also to cast a good point. Yeah, Renegade also. Yeah. Yeah, because Shepard can do some pretty crap things. The same is true of the Veilguard. To my disappointment, and it's something I saw firsthand in the dialogue options of the day, there was really only the option to abruptly, rather than outright nasty, to be abrupt rather than outright nasty. Rook is a character who, because of where the world is, because of the stakes, they need to stop the elven gods. Why you do that, your motivations for doing that, and how you approach it. You do have a lot of choices in how you approach these missions. There's some big choices in the game fairly early on where you can do some things that are pretty morally not spectacular. But it's not a game where you can go off and murder a bunch of orphans. Okay, right, I get it. But we want to give you that feeling of, I know I can build this character that I can roleplay in a way that I am passionate about and excited to do. In a broader sense, I also didn't see much differentiation in dialogue outcomes. There was a sense that my responses were variations on predestined outcomes, rather than differing courses altogether. That doesn't mean there aren't some major choice moments though. There is at least, and I won't get into spoilers, but there are definitely a couple of fairly significant choices that reshape the world in pretty big ways. Ooh! I don't see any dialogue affecting skills, such as BioWare games have had in the past, either though there are additional dialogue options according to your faction, race and class. Yeah, brilliant. We wanted to focus on base reactivity. One of the things with dialogue skills, and this was true in Mass Effect, is the moment you have one, that's where you're putting your first 20 skill points. Because, well, if this is going to unlock special things for me, I'm not ashamed to say I know exactly what he's talking about. Yeah, good point. So I understand where they're going with this. It's a Dragon Age game with its own story scope, and you need to follow certain train tracks. And that means that you can't make a very, very evil blood mage character, because that doesn't fit the story of the Veilguard. And I understand where they're going from with that. I am personally not bothered about creating an evil character. My own preferences, I'm not that bothered. Because Dragon Age, where they're going now, that's the story progression, it's not as open as Baldur's Gate 3, where you can really do that and then have as much choice and I don't know, like, with Baldur's Gate 3, you can be truly, truly evil, but Dragon Age is a lot more on train tracks than Baldur's Gate. And especially with the Veilguard, where it is now mission by mission, you complete that level, you're moving on to the next one. You know, Baldur's Gate 3 is really open. You can go and murder a bunch of hobos and glitch the game out and kill everybody in the Druid's Grove if you want to, and side with the goblins and go from there. Whereas Dragon Age is a lot more on train tracks in terms of its story. Rook needs to be a part of this ritual. Rook needs to follow this mission. Rook needs to do these predetermined things because Rook, at the end of the day, is going to kill the evil elven gods. However, how we get there, how we do that, our relationship with Solas, the characters, the companions, our faction, the class we choose, all of that isn't predetermined, but a lot of the story, besides the choices we do make, is different. So I understand where they're going with this. It does make sense, and it's just similar to Dragon Age, you know, less so Origins, but more so to an Inquisition, where there's a bigger emphasis on your role in the story. So I get it. Upsetting for those who want to create blood mages, be evil, make darker choices similar to Origins, like killing Connor or, you know, killing everybody in the Circle Tower or whatever. But as BioWare is saying, that still means that they have said here that there are some still pretty morally not spectacular choices that we can make. So it's not that, yeah, we can't be evil, but we can still make some not so good morally choices. And then also they're going to reshape the world in pretty big ways. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear reshape the world, all I'm thinking about is destroying the Veil. So can that happen? Is that going to be a possibility? Can we agree with Solas and go, yep, okay, destroy the Veil? Corin Bush said that the conclusion is one of the biggest parts of this game. Wrapping that up, you know, we're guarding the Veil, but, you know, Solas doesn't want to guard it anymore. So, yeah, that's what but again, that's just my opinion. When they say we can reshape the world, it might just mean the Grey Wardens rule over a lot more parts of Thedas now because your Rook was a Grey Warden and made a lot of Grey Warden choices. That could absolutely be palpable. But also at the same time, it might be... sorry, my nose is itchy. It might be... destroy the Veil. Yes, villainous Kitty. Yes. Let's tear down the Veil. Exactly, DeCaster. And then... oh, we've still got more. We've still got more to go through. Brilliant. Okay. So for those who want more clarity on importing our saves, there's no keep for importing your save, but something broadly equivalent. There's no external keep feature for importing past Dragon Age save data into the game this time. But there is something else built into the game itself. During Character Creator, you'll have the ability to import your Inquisitor from Inquisition, and all of the associated major decisions that you made during the game. If you don't have an Inquisitor, you can make one in the Veilguard, customizing their look as well as choosing what you would have done in the game. But what choices? Obviously, it'll be the main choices, but like, is there a romance choice? Surely there's a romance choice, because if you romance Solas, that's going to have some consequence. Oh, Vanna Banana! Did you see something that was hell Vanna Banana? Oh, no way. Vanna Banana, in a non-spoilery way, was a thing that you saw a potential reshaping the world consequence. I am so intrigued, Vanna Banana. I also love saying Vanna Banana. Oh, Vanna Banana, you've got me so intrigued. Was it a video? You did say what video it was before. You said it was a content creator, I believe. Yes, it was Luality. Luality? The reason why it's done this... The reason why it's done this new importing saves thing is twofold. Firstly, it helps contain the amount of choice being brought in from previous games, which is true. Because as Epler points out, a lot of choices made in previous games pertain to places that just aren't relevant here. That makes a lot of sense. Vanna Banana, Vanna Banana, Vanna Banana. A naked singularity, yes, the Inquisitor will make an appearance in the Veilguard. Vanna Banana, what does it mean, Vanna Banana? Oh, Vanna Banana, I really want to know. I get this because, like, obviously your Dragon Age Origins lands me outcome. I mean, actually, that might be relevant. Ignore that one, because Loghain or Alistair might appear in the Veilguard. We don't know. But, like, what's a good choice? What's the silliest choice you can make in Origins? Like, if you killed Connor, Yes, Connor appears in Inquisition, but it's Connor going to be in Northern Thedas and maybe. Oh, what did Vanna Banana say? Ha 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 ha. That's all I'll say. I didn't see you say anything, Vanna Banana. Oh, let's just say fan art was right. Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know which fan art. Oh no, Vanna Banana. I don't know Vanna Banana. Yeah, so like the choices and origins that didn't matter aren't going to make their way into the Veilguard, because obviously it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, does it? Does it? For us, the core philosophy, but then, then adding on to that, but then who you chose as the divine, if you romance Dorian, your choice with Solas, that all makes sense. That all makes sense. For us, the core philosophy was we want you to make choices that matter. Choices that we can actually reflect. Part of going to Northern Thedas is a lot of stuff that matters tremendously if you're in Ferelden and Orlais, doesn't matter as much in Tevinter. The other reason... Oh, Vanna Banana, I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. Thank you, Vanna Banana. The other reason it's been done this way is to serve as an onboarding tool. As Bush says... Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat at the same time. As Bush says, it's been a long time since Inquisition, even if you're a die-hard fan. Unless you're watching a YouTube replay of the whole game. Hello. Just made my recent video on that, literally. You might have little cobwebs on the choices you made or the implications of them. So not only did we want to allow this to be an in-game feature that would allow you to replicate those choices that John mentioned are contextually appropriate to the game, but we also view it as a dual-purpose onboarding tool. If I'm a player that I just don't remember or I haven't played the past games, you're going to go in and those choices, those beautiful tarot cards that Matt Rhodes, the art director, and his team put together, with all the context around them, what these choices meant, why that mattered. So I really view it as a beautiful onboarding tool as well. I love that. It's just like a new keep system, but it's just going to pertain to the choices that matter. What is everybody in the chat saying? No, Vanna Banana, I appreciate it. I appreciate you not wanting to spoil it, because it was spoiled for Vanna Banana, and Vanna Banana doesn't want to spoil it for us, so I do appreciate it. But if people do want this spoiler, check out Luality's video. Apparently, it was in the video... Well, Vanna Banana saying don't trust her. Yeah. The spoilers were in the actual video content, hence why I'm not watching videos. I'm actually tempted not to watch any videos right now and just continue reading out the articles, because I actually don't want to see any spoilers. Yeah, it's in the people's... So people are saying their videos are spoiler-free, and that might be what they're saying, but then what they show isn't spoiler-free. And that's the thing. Like, if I was to make a spoiler-free video, I would be using very little footage of the new game, and I would just be showing gameplay that we've already had and blurring out stuff, because that makes it spoiler-free as close as possible. Oh, I'm reading Vanna Banana now. What? Like, he doesn't speak about it, but the videos. Okay, thank you, Elast. Thank you. She doesn't speak about it, but the video... Yeah, it's in the video content. Yeah, it's in the... Yeah, thank you, Vanna Banana. I appreciate the clarity, Vanna Banana, though. I will not watch it, so I appreciate it. But this bit of content actually inspired me to make a video now on key choices that I think will affect the next Dragon Age game. I've talked about the story, we've talked about lore, but actually the choices that the Inquisitor made, Hawk made, and the hero Ferelden made, like, because I feel like there'll be less Origins and 2-1s, but for Inquisition, like, the Well of Sorrows, Solas, Who's Left in the Fade, I know that they've said that that won't be answered, but still, like, I'm actually tempted now to make a video as a preamble to the Veilguard coming out of, these are the key choices that you could have made in the previous games. Will they have implications in the Veilguard? To kind of help people out who don't know what to choose, for those who haven't played the games before, but also for some context of, actually, there are still some consequences to a lot of these choices. So let me write that one down before I get ahead of myself. Dragon Age. Key choices that need to be answered in the Veilguard. That's just a brief title, but yeah. Just check quickly if there's been any other things posted. I don't think there is. Cool. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Inky. He does exactly what I do. Rook. But better. Exactly, Ivan. Exactly. iCity Cat says, people are putting spoilers in the videos for the views. There is no spoiler free in the DA community. Yeah. Most of the spoilers I've seen are in subtitles. Oh, crazy. Oh, crazy. Right, next up, we have... Okay. That's just those two, but I'm very careful of the shots. Cool, we have one more thing that Richard has learnt from the developer Q&A at the Dragon Age event. So, it may be divisive, but BioWare believes the Veilguard will ultimately win people around. Cool. Hey. Okay, Carby says they double-checked and saw a couple big spoilers in Luility's video. So for those who are watching videos and you don't want big spoilers, be careful out there, folks. And if you do want to talk about those big spoilers, please do tag them on whatever social media platforms you're using, whatever Discord servers you're in. Go through those spoiler threads, tag them as spoilers, and make sure that everybody is on the same page. Just for everybody's peace of mind. Because even me as a creator, and I'm like, I'm refusing to make content on certain things because of spoilers. That's why I'm streaming this instead of watching them and just reading these articles, because I'm trying to be as mindful as possible for spoilers. And I get it as well. Multi-cat bag, foaming at the mouth for content, but at the same time, spoilers. It's true. That's the thing. We're now not in the speculation period of, oh, this is a potential thing of a thing, so maybe we can tinfoil about that. But now it's like, no, actually, if you have been theory crafting, that's a legit thing now. So, yeah. It's now, like, my next video that I have lined up is a theory video. It's like we're now navigating out of theory content, and it's fallen into, like, spoiler territory. So it's, be careful out there, everybody. Be careful. I was going to say something else as well. Matt Mrat says, I'm so happy I don't have Twitter. I'm also taking a break from Twitter myself, honestly. Spoiler content, it's just trying to be careful. Trying to be careful. Okay. Anyway. Mina Shepherd. There we go. Ever since being unveiled a few months ago, the Veilguard has proved divisive. First, there was the name change from Dreadwolf to the Veilguard. Then the reveal of the art style. Then the comparisons to BG3. Whatever BioWare seems to do, it seems it can't please everybody. But Epler isn't disheartened by it. The art style, for one, he believes, is timeless. It's still going to look striking in 10 years, 15 years, he says. Vanna Banana, do not shut up. You are great. Nah, Vanna Banana, you're great. Do not shut up. It is all good. No, it is all good. I appreciate the fun jests and the teasers. No, it's good fun. We're just joking about spoilers. We're not actually spoiling, so I appreciate it. And the more the people see the game in motion, the more convinced he says they are by it. For what it's worth, I agree. The Veilguard was gorgeous when I played it, and one of the best looking BioWare games I've ever seen. Brilliant. I mean, obviously people have their thoughts. And in the case of a game like the Veilguard, and you spoke to it earlier, this is a game where the last one came out 10 years ago. So people have had long to think about what a new one could be. Oh, we've had so long. We've all come up with our own ideal Dragon Age 4, haven't we? Whatever version of the game you had in your head, it doesn't matter what it was never going to be the version of the game you saw. No, because instead, this is Dragon Age Taylor's version. He continues, anytime you make a change to anything that's been around for a while, there's going to be some element of diversiveness. And what it really comes down to is believing in the direction you're going and then showing people more of it, showing people why it makes sense in context. Which is why BioWare is trying to do exactly that with official blog posts and preview events like this. There's always going to be some people who aren't happy with one element or another, and that's true of anything you create. BioWare, though, attracts a fierce kind of scrutiny, perhaps more than any other developer I've known. It speaks to the amount of people BioWare's games have reached over the decades, and the effects those games have had on them. Yeah, thanks, Naked. Yeah. Jack saying Vanna Banana is my new favourite thing. Hello, Justin! Vanna Banana? Where am I? But a byproduct of being around for so long inevitably is inevitable change. The BioWare that made BG2 or even Origins is not the same BioWare it's making the Veilguard now. Key personnel have changed, the company has fundamentally changed, and so have the games being made today. We know this, and yet the phenomenal success of BG3 has rekindled a spark of mutiny about why modern-day BioWare isn't the olden-day BioWare. Hello, Emily, how you doing? Larian made a great success of a traditional classic RPG, after all. Honestly, I love that Baldur's Gate 3 was so successful, Epler says, because as an RPG creator, as an RPG, it expands the market, it expands the people who are going to want to play your game and who are passionate about it. In the case of Baldur's Gate 3, they have a very specific focus, and we have a very specific focus, and we talk to people at Larian all the time. There's friendship. We love Baldur's Gate. They talk about Dragon Age as well, and it's always strange to hear the idea there's this conflict because we just want the other people to do well. Because if Baldur's Gate 3 does well, suddenly you've got millions of people who are ready for another fantasy RPG experience, and we have the Veilguard. It's true. It is very true. There is a good crossover. Then he says something I was hoping to hear, because in the past it seems BioWare was trying to please other people rather than focus on what it felt was best. But with the Veilguard, a single-player, mission-based RPG, it seems more confident to walk its own path, and I think you can feel this in the game itself. I don't think you'll ever make everyone happy, and I think honestly, if you do try to make everyone happy on any creative product, you ultimately end up making no one happy, because you're compromising one thing for another thing. You end up in a mushy middle where nobody's happy because you're not doing X well enough for the people who like X. You're not doing Y well for enough people who like Y. And more importantly, you yourself as a creator are not making the thing that you believe in, that you think it should be. I always find design by committee in a lot of ways ends up by death of creative endeavors when you're trying to make everyone happy. I don't think we're ever going to make everyone happy. There's always going to be someone who's unhappy. But ultimately, it's about making the best version of the game that you believe, as a creator, is the game it needs to be. And then putting it out there. Some people will love it and some people won't. But at least you'll have those people who love it because you did care enough to go in that direction you felt was right. Brilliant. And you know what? I agree to the sentiment because what BioWare have done in recent memory in the past 10 years is trying to create something that is not them. They followed trends, and I could talk about this for ages. I could make an entire podcast on this. They followed trends with Inquisition for Skyrim. Everybody, the market, wants 1,000 hours of gameplay. They want constantly recurring fetch quests. They want hub-based open world or an open world-based approach. They want mounts. And BioWare were trying to please so many other people, and obviously trying to please the markets as well. But that's not what makes Dragon Age. And they've done that with Anthem. They made a multiplayer live service thing that nobody wants. Nobody plays BioWare games for. And similar regards to Andromeda, fetch quests, hub-based open worlds, not what is Mass Effect. My opinion, Andromeda to me didn't have the essence of the DNA of a Mass Effect game. And now what they're saying is actually, we're going to do what we as creatives want to do, not what everybody expects us to do, which is good. That's what we want. We want BioWare to realise their talents, which are in the games that they've created, of Origins, of 2, of Inquisition to some extent. Obviously, I did just talk about the trends that they followed with that game. But BioWare know how to create amazing RPGs. They've done it in the past. They know their formula. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. But even Eppa talked about before. They have a team hired specifically for single-player RPG games. They have a team dedicated to that craft, creating multiplayer games on live service trends and all that stuff. As much as EA or BioWare has a whim for that, like it's not. They're not built for it. They're not built for that. The staff aren't there for that. They're there for their bread and butter. So just to reiterate, to hear, and for Apple to reiterate that they're doing what they love. They're creating what they create. They kind of don't really care if people hate it. They don't care for the diversiveness of it. Of course, we're talking about a game here that none of us have played. So again, there's still that line of, right, okay, yep, I get it. But at the same time, they're saying, we're really proud of this. We're confident with it, and we're doing what we want, not what you all expect us to do or what the market is telling us to do, which is also great. I will say, off the back of that, in my personal preference, maybe a bit negative, maybe a bit, what's the word? Not negative completely. I don't think Dragon Age: The Veilguard, in my opinion, is going to be. It's not. I mean, it's not even. It's an opinion, yes, but it's not. I don't think Dragon Age: The Veilguard is going to be as revolutionary as an RPG as Baldur's Gate 3, and I don't think it's trying to do that either. I'm just, they're comparing that. They're comparing a bit of BG3 and the success of it, and I get that, but given the development cycle of BG3 compared to The Veilguard, given the scale of the game, given just the different approach Baldur's Gate 3 is a miracle of a game. The fact that they could create that game, they could have an extended development time, they got it all crowdfunded. Like, that's my only skepticism is of how amazing Baldur's Gate 3 was. The bar was set, and Dragon Age: The Veilguard is not going to reach that bar. And I just think that we should not have expectations. Anybody should have expectations that it is going to reach that level of expectation that BG3 hit. Yes, I am wearing a tinfoil hat, Jelly. So don't have that expectation is what I would say. Do yourself a favour, don't set that bar really high. And I know most people don't. I know people who've seen my videos. We talk about development. We talk about Dragon Age. We've seen it. It's looking. I'm very optimistic about it. At the same time, though, it may revolutionize Dragon Age. It's not going to revolutionize RPGs. And at the same time, I don't think we want it to revolutionize. I mean, do we want? I mean, yeah, we'd love BioWare to. We just want a good Dragon Age game. We want a great Dragon Age game, not a good Dragon Age game. We want to win for BioWare. But yeah, as Ivan just said, the bar was set really high with Baldur's Gate 3. But yeah, folks, thoughts on this article. I really loved the extensiveness of it. Lots of things we've already talked about and we already know, but extended even more information straight from Corin and Epler's mouth. Yeah, really good to hear. Just a good variety of things and little spoilers in this one too. Really, really good just to hear BioWare's approach. With a few divisive things there. You can't be evil. They're changing the mission-based approach up. But at the same time, they're fundamentally creating a game that they love, that they want to create, and that the studio is hired to create, which is really good. What we'll do is we will now read. I'll give myself a minute. But we'll read. So there's a few screenshot spoilers in here. This one's probably going to have more spoilers. So we will read this one tentatively. This is a lot as well. But it's just an article. So we're not going to see any big video spoilers. We should be okay. I will catch up on chat as well before I jump into this. But yeah, I'm liking. I'm appreciating Robert, not Richard. I'm appreciating Robert's opinions. I think he's got a good mindset, and he's got a lot of good content from us. Really, I appreciate his takes. Of course, for those joining in, we've only looked at IGN so far. We're looking at Eurogamer right now. And we're looking at all the press impressions of the Veilguard. And we're currently looking at Eurogamer, who had spent time playing the game and talking to the developers like all the other press as well. Just for those who have joined. Thank you, JN7. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It means a lot. I'm just going to check the chat for things that I did miss while I was reading away and chatting away there. Just Cowboy, you can please some people, but you can't please everybody all the time. It's true. Venan. is what I see. Mark Darrow said BG3 wouldn't have had much impact on the Veilguard, so it already started before it got released. It's true, and apparently the Veilguard was going to come out September last year, same time as BG3. So even the year extension of development has been polishing. We learned last year, I think September, October, that it was in alpha, which is just refinement of features, polishing, getting the game to look crisper. I don't think development of content. I suppose a question to you all, chat. Based on that article, what do you all think about your impressions of the Veilguard? You know, it's apparently a divisive game. I think divisive is a really strong word. Again, though, my perspective is I shelter myself away from a lot of negative, clickbaity people's opinions. I do watch people who have opinions on Dragon Age and opinions on BioWare. I'm not saying that I avoid negativity. I don't avoid negativity. I listen to what people are saying and understand their point of view, and I want to see where they're coming from. There's a creator I've been watching, and I think they've got some really good points about the Veilguard, its marketing, and there are some things that I do really understand their point of view on. At the same time as that, there's a lot of people on YouTube who get negativity, and I understand why. They get clicks on negativity, and they live for it. But I'm more interested in the debates around it and actually looking at it holistically. Negative bits, positive bits, what don't we like, what do we like? So I suppose my question now to you, chat, is what do you think about the Veilguard so far, considering that it's a divisive game, but the features that they're removing, do you think that you're going to love it? Do you think you're going to enjoy it? Or do you think that you're not going to like it? You know, this isn't going to be like Inquisition, Dragon Age 2, or Origins. A lot of people have said it's more like Dragon Age 2, with its mission-based approach, with Rook being like Hawk a bit more. But it's a different Dragon Age game altogether. What's chat's thoughts on that? With, you know, tactical combat now being a pause and play system, no playing as your companions, having a lesser scale hero than the Warden or than the Inquisitor, but somebody more of a conscientious team leader, somebody more like Hawk, more of an underdog. Obviously, they have their narrative attachment and stuff, but and then what other differences have we got? We've got a smaller team. We've got 3 people in our squad now instead of 4. We've got Solas being an advisor role in this narrative. We've got the Elven Gods as villains. Carby says it's going to be a great game. Jason, I think it looks great. Naked, I'm going to be loving it for real. DeCaster, I'm going to be loving it, and it's going to take my life. Lol, it looks amazing. I cannot wait. Yeah. Kairos Syrup, love that name. I'm so excited I could die. Seth Zunker, I'm so hopeful. Pardon me. And I'd love to get hold of the character creator before release. Yes, Seth. Yes. I will take time to dial in both Rook and my Inky. Same. JD, the marketing has been criticised for missing So one of the criticisms I've seen, and I'm just going to say this as objective as possible, a lot of the criticisms I've seen of what people are saying online is people have been annoyed at the idea of BioWare having a lot of the creators in this community council, and then those council members just talking positive about the game, but not actually explaining it or being able to explain it, because of course they're on NDAs. And so people are annoyed at just kind of what they're saying is it's just rhetoric. They're just saying something and saying wait until the game comes out without actually proving it. And that is just kind of what they're envisioning that as marketing rhetoric. They're just saying what BioWare is saying, but they haven't got any substance or proof to say that. But they can't because they're under NDA. But people are criticizing BioWare's marketing avenue of having a council or having a bunch of creators who kind of have that space where they just reiterate a lot of things that BioWare have already said. And I can understand that point of view. At the same time, though, I enjoyed the gameplay 20-minute reveal. I've enjoyed seeing the combat stuff. I've enjoyed the blogs. You know, as somebody who's been in this community for 8 years and has been looking at Solas TV screens and looking at tweets from the developers on a potential voice acting or concept art, or looking far too much into Mark Darrow's Rook book, or looking at Mark Darrow's Slack server teas. I'm all for any kind of content, but I can understand from like people who are in the fandom or not as focused or not as into it as us, that can be infuriating. I can understand that. So again, I understand it. I don't agree necessarily with it, but I understand the point that people are making. Other people's opinions, what are people saying? Vought, my impression is that it has a different target audience. Besides the colour template and artistic approach, the gameplay seems generic. Similar approach I took with Dragon Age 2. Yeah, Vought, that's a fair criticism. We need to see more of that gameplay to really, we need to play it for ourselves. Because even Robert in his last article said that, or it could have been the IGN one, that it takes a while to get used to the new kind of controls for the Veilguard. It is different from a gameplay point of view, or combat point of view. Jason, I love primer and detonator combos. Very addictive, yeah. I like that dynamic. I know it's always been in Dragon Age anyway, but now there's a huge incentive on it, just like Mass Effect 3. And if you played Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, different dynamic, but like setting up combinations with your friends was so fun. I really want to replay that again. But like, you'd freeze them, they'd use like a fire-based attack to then get a brilliant detonation. It was so fun, so fun. And then JD said that the marketing has been criticised for missing the tone of the series. So prior to that, prior to talking about the community of the council and stuff, the first ever reveal trailer, people didn't like the art style of it. They equated it to other kind of kiddier games, Fortnite and stuff like that. I personally didn't see the Fortnite dynamic. I do understand it's cartoon. I did see it as cartoony, different scope. And I don't understand the marketing behind that either, because the gameplay preview was brilliant. It was a great way to market it, in my opinion. So I don't really get that approach of that trailer either. Because if they just showed us the trailer that we got the other day, the release date trailer, or the other month, that was a fantastic trailer. That, for a first trailer, beautiful. So yeah, I understand that too, because that was a misdirect on the marketing front. The caster, I would scream if we actually got that Solas TV screen as something in the game. Yeah, exactly, JD, exactly. That's what people get annoyed about, because it's just that reinforcement of positivity, but there's nothing to back it up. And it frustrates people who haven't played the game, who can't play the game, who were all waiting, like, okay, you're telling me something, but I want to see it. And I get that way with the developers too, like, they're telling us this stuff, but I want to see it. Hence why it's so great hearing impressions from other people. And we kind of need to look at, some skeptical Dragon Age fans' impressions. Some people who have had maybe a rocky relationship with Dragon Age, and see what their game impressions of it are. And I do have one of those lined up. I might actually look at one of those next. It's only a press article, so it's not overly it's not somebody who's doing it for clicks and somebody who's making content on silly dramatical issues. And I'm not equating that to negativity. Negativity's fine, but there's a lot of people who make clickbaity content on silly topics in the Dragon Age universe that I'm just like, I watched one the other day, and it had me rolling my eyes, talking about they're changing the Qunari. And they just said they're changing the Qunari for about 10 minutes straight. And it's like, right, what's your point? What point are you trying to make? Because if they're changing the Qunari, I understand that point of view. But what are they changing it compared to? What is your point? Are you saying that the game's artistic impersonation has changed since the Qunari in Dragon Age 2 when we had the very beautiful Arashok? Okay, that's the point you're making. But just hammering on about how they're changing the Qunari isn't a point to make. You're just saying the same thing and it's regurgitated, and that annoys me. If you've got a point, I'll absolutely listen to it. But yeah, so there is an article that I've got that is skeptical, and that's good. We need to understand that too. We need to understand all stories and bases of what the press are saying and what people are saying who've played this game. I'll respond to a few more chats and then we'll go into that one actually. Oh, sorry, we're going to read this one first. We'll read this one first and then we'll go into that one. I completely forgot. I'm just going with the flow, really. Exactly, Emrat. Skepticism is fine, and honestly, skepticism is good. But then it's the negative. It's people making videos without opinions and just being negative for clicks is what I'm referring to. That I don't enjoy and has no point and no merit. If you want to be negative for clicks, go ahead. But if you've actually got a point you want to make and articulate and hit on some kind of notion, brilliant. Make that point and I'll listen to it. There are many bad faith critics out there who obviously haven't played a single Dragon Age game. It's so annoying. It drowns out the measured critics with reasonable criticism. Alas, Spot on. Literally, I don't know if my point has come across well, but that is exactly what I've been trying to say. It's true. And then it makes a community of when somebody does criticize a feature, everybody gets annoyed or they think because there's so much hate out there, it gets harder to differentiate it. It does get frustrating. It really does. But also, Vanna Banana just said the Kunari from the CC look better, which is great. Which is great. And the thing is, folks, a lot of the negativity, a lot of the people who are making those videos, you know when the game comes out and it actually does good, they're going to just disappear anyway. Because they're just going to be beating the same old drum. And then people who actually enjoy it are just going to enjoy it. And at the end of the day, we do all have a preference to what content we consume. You know, we have a preference of if we want the negative content, we choose to watch that stuff. That's up to us. And we just have to, at this point, only we can change our behavior to it. It exists out there, but we can just change. You know what? I'm not going to listen to that. And that's why my mindset on the community is I watched a few the other day, and I do watch a few people who do talk about Dragon Age to understand their opinions on it when they have a point to make, and there are some who do. But a lot of it is just people not having opinions. Thank you so much, Virginia Rodriguez, for the super chat. I appreciate it. They just wanted to give me no comment, just heartfelt thanks for the content. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll give you a hand love heart too. Thank you so much. But yeah, end of point is people will jump on anything if it's negative, if they can get clicks from it. My point is just not engage with that. They're going to crawl back under their bridges like trolls. Exactly, Kitty. And but don't let that stop you from allowing it to be critical and also looking at the game in a critical POV at the same time. Because it's okay to be critical as well. Yeah. Anyway, we'll read Robert's final article of Eurogamer. We'll look at someone from PC Games as they talk about their skeptical experience with Dragon Age, because we've got a lot of positive ones lined up too. So I do want to uncover this story in a broad way. You know, I do want to see what people do have negatively to say of this game, because we want to get a most defined picture of it as possible. Ooh, who has dropped questionable political views in past videos? Mina Shepherd. Sorry, I'm trying to read this, but I can't see who you're referring to. Oh, who you're referring to? I cannot see. Ah, I see now. Ah, yes, I see you. Okay, yeah. No, again, I don't watch that person's content, but one of the videos I watched was based on their video. Yeah, and someone had just jumped on the hit. Yeah. And it was like, because this creator said that one thing, that means it must be true. I'm like, a video that I did watch, actually, I will talk about this quickly. Somebody made a video on the fact that Dragon Age has not had the best retail pre-orders. And I'm like, so because it's had the really bad retail pre-orders, the game sucks. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to play this game anymore. It's having such bad. It's like, yeah, but when I buy a game, I don't go to my local game store and pre-order it. Do you know what I do? I buy it on Steam. Do you know what I also do if I'm not going to buy it on Steam? Well, I'd actually look at the data and what the statistics are actually saying, and then going, well, I heard from a friend of a friend, from a friend of a friend, from a friend of a friend who owns a chain of GameStop stores, and he heard from his friend of friend, and his friend of friend, who actually, his friend heard that his friend said that in his GameStop store, they've only sold 5 copies on pre-orders of the game. I'm like, okay, right. So what's Steam saying? What is the EA app saying? What's the data there? What can we actually look at objectively from a data point of view? And also, are you aware that you can get EA Plus, the premium bundle pack thing, where you can actually play Dragon Age the Veilguard if you are a part of that EA Plus membership thing? So there are people who have bought the EA Plus membership thing, getting the game on day one because they don't need to buy it because they get it with a membership. Are you looking at that data, or are you pinpointing one quick little thing that you can make a video out in a minute because you've found one particular thing that your friend of a friend said and you've made an entire video on it to try and draw up some negativity because you haven't done any data or any research and all you care about is negativity? Sorry to be a bit sassy there, but like, it's, as somebody who spends time researching content, I never release my breakdowns day one. Obviously, it's fine if I did, but like, I like to take the time to research. I like to take, that's proper freaking journalism. That's the point of my content, is to research it. And if you're not doing that, then what's the point in creating content? The Shattered Library is open. But like, you are making a video based on fact, and you don't have facts. Why are you making a video? Anyway, I'll rein the sassiness in. Read him to filth, Jack. But it's you know, and also who pre-orders game? I mean, yes, people pre-order games these days, but we're in an industry where, like, this is the thing. I could make the video myself. I probably should freaking make the video myself. We live in an industry where the games industry is a middle class freaking hobby. It costs freaking $70, 70 quid, whatever currency you have, sorry, to buy a video game. People aren't pre-ordering video games because, I don't know about you guys, but I'm in the UK. We're in the middle of a living crisis, the cost of a living crisis, post-pandemic. I know America, you're going to have your elections going on soon, potentially changing governments. I don't know what's going on there. But at the same time, like, you know, people now, post-pandemic, make their purchasing decisions, like, a couple of days or a week before the game comes out. Or in this gaming industry, we wait for reviews. That's what we do. So it's like, where's the data behind all that stuff? Why are you pinpointing the Veilguard because you want to shit on it for your own gain? And actually looking at it from an objective or a data-driven point of view, and looking at the landscape of the industry that we're in, looking at people's purchasing habits, looking at what people actually think about when pre-ordering a game. Because I haven't pre-ordered the Veilguard. I'm going to get it on the EA Plus premium thing that I can get and go, right, sorted. You know? So anyway, other words, it's, you know, there's a lot of real world issues that are also affecting purchasing things and people's own data-driven decisions. But I will let that rest. That's all I'll say on people who want to make videos on clickbait. Don't let me watch your content, because I'll come in. I will bring logic and, as Dorian would say, a voice of pragmatism to the mix. Anyway, though, going back to looking at Robert, who seemingly has quite a decent, optimistic look on the Veilguard. Let's actually read his impressions of playing the game. So again, I haven't read this, so small spoiler warning. Just in case there's anything in there. I did see a mention of a particular Antivan city. So if you don't want to hear any of the spoilers, I would say come back in about 20 minutes because we're going to read this out. But we're going to be careful. I would say if there's anything massively spoilery, I probably won't read it. But I'm not expecting to. I'm more worried about the visual spoilers. Because, I mean, Antiva cities we know we're going to. We'll go for it. We'll read it. We'll read it. Okay. After playing it all day, the Veilguard feels like the series' Mass Effect 2 moment. Mass Effect 2 is my favourite Mass Effect game. Yes! Shepherding it on. There's a BioWare game I keep coming back to when I think about the several hours I spent playing the Veilguard, and it's probably not the game you're expecting me to say. It's not Inquisition, it's not Origins, or Dragon Age 2, as if I'd have the stones to say that. It's a game from another series the studio is probably better known for, and it's arguably the studio's best. Mass Effect 2. Elaine, I agree, it is. Just as Mass Effect 2 streamlined the elbowy role-playing of Mass Effect 1, honing it in a pacier cinematic action game, so does Veilguard do this for Dragon Age. There are no pretensions at being an open-world game as in Inquisition anymore. The Veilguard is narrower, mission-based game, a phrase I hear a few times over the course of the day, and because of it, the pace never sags. Good. Whatever you do, there's a feeling of purpose and shape. Oh, good. Mission crescendo to spectacular boss fights, and the combat encounters that lead to them feel considered and satisfying. Traversal sections are varied, with puzzles and zip wires and slides and balance beams. There's never any dead time. Always there's momentum. And it's at its best. It's a breathless, exciting ride. Quick note on that. I know I don't want to ramble on, but just to hear the pacing's a lot better. Inquisition's narrative pacing was a big issue for me. To hear that the Veilguard has momentum, has pace, is great. To me, it screams confidence. Something the Dragon Age team seems to have lacked in the past. This is a series that's grappled with its identity ever since it began, and that's changed hugely from one installment to the next, pulled this way and that by the demands of the time. But here we are with a beautifully baggage-less single-player RPG, with a beautifully baggageless single-player RPG, and a sense that behind it, BioWare is doing what it believes is best at. And okay, yes, it's notable that the lines between Dragon Age and Mass Effect are blurring, whereas before, the team and games felt distinct, but there's no denying the resulting effect. The Veilguard is good! It's very good! Hell yes! And I think the thing about the lines blurring, I get that, but that's also BioWare creating games that they know how to create, and it's just that return to form. So I get that the lines may be blurring between the two, but they're just creating what they know. And how they create an RPG. So we begin our day at the very beginning of the game. I'll stop that from playing. In character customization, where I'm pleased to report pardon me, is as feature rich as I hoped and expected it to be. There are 4 races to choose from: human, Qunari, dwarf, elf, and you can customize the shapes of their bodies, as well as intricately sculpt their faces. I am particularly fond of the triangle slide around gorge for overall shape, which is fun to play with and see the effects of in real time. And as for hair, which is some of the most believable looking hair I've seen in a game. More unusual features include customizable bulge size, for exactly what you think, a melanin slider, and a cataract slider for the eye or eyes. You can specify which. There's a lot of detail here. Although another notable feature during Character Creator is the ability to import your Inquisitor from Inquisition. Pardon me. Or to create a new one, which involves customizing them visually, and cycling through major decisions from the previous games to choose what you would have done. What role that Inquisitor will then play in the game, I don't know and didn't see, but it's a nice carryover feature and does a good job of reminding you what came before. So again, speculation. If sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. If the person playing this game, I think it's Robert. If Robert didn't get to see the implications of the Inquisitor, does that mean that the Inquisitor is post Act 1? Probably, most likely. Act 2 maybe? I mean, Hawk was Act 2, so maybe. We'll see. It was 10 years ago, incidentally, this feature as is in place of the keep for the Veilguard. That standalone choose your backstory website Inquisition pulled data from. The other important thing you do while customizing your character is pick a faction to belong in the game, of which there are several and from which your main companions will hail. Some you'll be familiar with from previous games, like the Grey Wardens or the Antivan Crows, but the others are new, and they offer a storied background to lay upon your character, as well as mechanical benefits in play. Grey Wardens, for instance, deal increased damage against the Darkspawn, of which there are many, this being Dragon Age after all. And they will have slightly increased base health and defense. Being a Grey Warden also enables you to choose Grey Warden dialogue options whenever they appear. It all reminds me somewhat of the origin stories from Origins, which I like, and there are several references to my faction in the parts of the game I play. It makes my background feel seen. Good! We'll have a look at this little screenshot. It doesn't look too crazy. There's Davrin and Balara. Who's everybody romancing first is the question. Bye, Vanna Banana. Thank you for joining, Vanna Banana. I appreciate it, Vanna Banana. Oh, thank you, Vanna Banana. I'm really torn between Nev and Balara, to be honest. And then this shot, it looks like a combat wheel. Cool. And then that beautiful dwarf beard is back. That's my dwarf, that is. Handsome, aren't they? Emric, Nev, Harding, Lucanus, Nev. I chose my rook to be a dwarf rogue, after which I played a section of the game you've seen demoed in trailers, in Menraphis, up to and past the point of meeting Solas and beyond, a good hour or so beyond, which means I know what happens to Varric, though I can't say. What the hell does that mean? No, don't say that. Don't say that. Oh, no. Right, okay. Potential spoilers here for those who don't want to know what happens after the ritual scene. I see the new lighthouse base and the Arlafan forest, and the crossroads beyond the Alluvian mirror. I adventure in the city of Treviso and in an underwater city, which we talked about before, and I struggle through eerie blight-infested towns riddled with darkspawn and zombified inhabitants. I do a lot, and the Veilguard provides it all with variety and visual spectacle throughout. No two areas look or feel the same, and from a presentational point of view, it's the best I've seen a BioWare game look. The plastic sweatiness of Inquisition is gone, and replaced with an almost soft sculpted feel and an anime-like exaggeration that is particularly striking in motion. Style over fidelity, perhaps. Not that it's lacking in detail. I try all three character classes, of course, over the course of the day, at varying character levels, and I think Rogue remains my favourite. Okay. It's to do with the speed of the class. The way it twirls and tumbles around the battlefield gives the action an almost Ninja Gaiden-like feel. And there's a never-ending simple pleasure in trying to land headshots with the bow. That sounds fun. The warrior comes a close second with its Captain America-like shield toss and ridiculously fun dropkick, run up and bam, off the edge you go. Again, sounds so bloody fun. I'm playing warrior first, definitely. And the mage finishes third, partly because it lacks the physicality and responsiveness of the other two, though it's by no means lifeless. The Veilguard actually plays more like a single-player action game in combat than a traditional RPG, and the Dragon Age games, I also apologise for the ads. I can zoom in closer. And the Dragon Age games before it. I went back to Inquisition recently and was startled by how slow combat felt by comparison, and by how static it seemed with characters standing around. There's none of that here. All of the classes have a full complement of combat abilities. They can all dodge or dash and perform some kind of ranged attacks as standard, as well as block and attack with light or medium hits and charged variations of them, and you will frequently have to use all of them to survive. You're never safe, even at the back. Enemies won't leave you alone. They'll teleport or dash to get you, closing gaps and hurling projectiles at you, especially bosses, which you'll usually face in semi-confined areas. There's a lot of running and dodge rolling required to deal with them, and it can lead to some very intense encounters. Note, however, there are more difficulty options in the Veilguard that I've seen in a BioWare game too, should you want to adjust. You also don't have direct control over your companions this time, so you don't tab between them to play as them anymore. They will happily unleash their own barrage of standard attacks without any input. You do, however, have some control over their special abilities, which you can deploy tactically to trigger devastating combination attacks. On a controller, I did try mouse and keyboard, but the controller felt a lot more comfortable fit for the Veilguard. You press a shoulder button to bring up a time-pausing radial menu where your and your companion's special abilities are shown. Here the game will clearly highlight any abilities that work well against the enemies you're facing and which ability will combo with someone else's. It's big and obvious, you can't miss what it's suggesting you to do. Set it all up and big number damages will pop on the screen alongside dramatic visual effects. Combined attacks are hugely effective and increasingly satisfying to do so. Beautiful shot of a rook right there. Love it. And we won't look at the others because it's just combat. So yeah, good to hear they're playing on PC. Exactly, Waxy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some more skills taken from the capture I brought back. Sorry, I didn't sorry, more still, sorry. Sorry, I didn't have time to pull more. It's fine. Zoe's video above compiles the footage brilliantly, though. Beautiful rook. Love the armor. Looks great. Yeah, very pretty. Very pretty. Love the elf and the hairstyles as well. I mean, the hair on that particular elf. Yeah, what class is everybody excited about? Really cool about Robert is that he's been more excited about the rogues, warriors and mages last, where I know in the community everybody's all for mages, but Robert himself has been excited about rogues most. I am warrior, love the responsiveness, especially in the Veilguard for it. It looks brilliant. Just the physicality of it, I love. I'm loving, sorry, I should say. Even more so, just because it's... I think mages were already really good in the previous games, and now there's another element of physicality to the warriors and the reactiveness to it, and I feel like they weren't as reactive in the past. Now they are, very much so, and I love that. Love that. There is, though, a bit of a wait in between using them, either as you recover your class's main resource, or wait for the abilities to refresh. I'm sure as you get to know the game better, you'll be able to manage resource gain in such a way you gain special abilities more often. Yeah, you get momentum, you get rage, and you get mana per different class. But I find myself waiting around a fair bit with nothing very effective that I can do, particularly when playing as a mage. Okay. I imagine that'll get better when you level up. I have my default attacks. I like the Proton Pack, like Energy Beam, but I still feel ineffective a lot of the time. I should add that each class has 3 specializations, plus a load of miscellaneous skills and abilities interlinking them. It's a pleasingly large skill tree, so it's more than possible it's the build I didn't gel with rather than the class, but the mage was still my least favourite of the classes on the day. Fair enough, fair enough. It's still good to hear that. Combat in general, though, is great, full of energy and heft and impact, and a need for you to be paying attention. And because of the mission-based structure of the game, any encounter you come across is there for a specific reason. It's not happenstance, so there's a considered mix of enemy types and placement to make the battles interesting, which in my experience, it almost always was. This kind of consideration carries over into level design. Again, because you're taking the route the game knows you'll take, it's made sure the route is an interesting one, so you'll be negotiating balance beams between buildings, jumping across platforms, climbing, sliding down inclines like Commander Shepard, and doing a spot of environmental puzzling in between. It's never just running from point A to B. I love to hear that. It again sounds similar to Mass Effect, but good, because that's like good level design, you know? In the city of Treviso, where I met the assassin companion Lucanus, a place of nighttime markets and soft-lit lanterns, we zipline across rooftops at dizzying speed, giving the place a sense of size and the level a sense of pace. That's just something that we can't even quantify in Dragon Age. Zipping round on zip lines because you've got a level that's just that big in scale, but it's still so like point A to point B in its approach is so interesting, and like we just can't even quantify that. It's you know, it's like God of War in that regard. It's exciting. You can't quantify that to DA2, to Inquisition, or to Origins. I like that. I like that a lot. Of course, it's an illusion. You'll notice these same routes being used again and again, and though the city appears densely populated and buzzing, you can't really interact with people you see there. It's set dressing, but it's beautiful set dressing nonetheless, and how interactive does it really need to be? I agree. Valrayo didn't need to be a sprawling hub. Sorry, it didn't. It just needed to have more. It just needed to be more populated. It just needed more. You know, if it was more sprawling but had the same merchants, but they were all just in a bigger world, that would have been fine. But because it was just market, town, dock, it was so small. But we just needed that set dressing for Valrayo. There's a lot about... that's absolutely fine, Mana Shepherd. Completely get it. Now we're talking back to combat and gameplay. There's a lot about Veilguard that falls into the category of thinking, does an RPG really need it? You no longer stop to loot bodies in the game, for instance. Cool. Which speeds up the flow of a level significantly. Instead, loot has been tidied away to chests, which you rip open with God of War-like glee, and which, if they bestow with you with new equipment, that's actually such a good idea. I love that. Yes! If they bestow with you with new equipment, often combine with pieces you already have to upgrade them. It's a sort of fantasy kind of upcycling, and it means you're never left with useless odds and ends, and you're never nose down in your inventory organizing things, which again smooths play considerably. I really appreciate that. Some games handle inventory management really well, and Baldur's Gate 3, brilliant example of that, because you need certain items for specific missions, specific goals, specific characters. Dragon Age, besides the gift system, hasn't really needed that much of a dynamic inventory system. I'd say barring Origins. And I'm really glad to hear that they're just going for that God of War approach of, right, open the crate, new loot, upscale your current gear, or you got new gear completely, you got brand new stuff completely that you can now wear and equipped. Otherwise, what's the point in loot? And I like that. They are actually just having a stance on loot, and I appreciate that. It's either really good, or you're going to be crammed with a bunch of junk, like Inquisition, which I get it. There was that gameplay point of view of rebuild Skyhold, help build necklaces for power, but you were carrying around so much junk. This game has gone, nope, you're getting loot, and it's either going to be really effective or you're not getting anything, which is great. Does that make it less of an RPG? I don't think so. That's the question that will surround the Veilguard, I think. Some of my fears in this regard were allayed but by what I saw. That's actually more companion interaction than I thought there would be. You do still have the opportunity to equip them across 4 equipment slots, and though you don't level up individually, good, to be honest. I mean, that was annoying. I get it. If you're a hardcore RPGist and you want to do that, you love that stuff, but for me, I'm like, auto level up, auto level up, auto level up. Just my opinion, though. You increase this bond level by taking them out on missions with you. You can take up to 2 of them, and by taking them back to the and by talking to them back at the base. I eventually met all of the game's companions during my play sessions. So potential spoilers here, folks. Again, if you want to come back in about 10 minutes, I don't really know. Though I spend this time with Harding, Nev, Balara, and Lucanus, all of whom I find interesting, which is a good sign. I particularly like Lucanus, a fiery Latino assassin who has shifting personalities, shall we say. Thank you, the caster. Oh no, I've made a meme. I've become another meme. Oh, my tinfoil hat is a mess. Some would say the voice of pragmatism. See, I completely get that as well, Kyle. But for me, I'm like, eh. Unless I'm playing on Nightmare difficulty and I am taking the care and consideration, I get that as well. And I find Balara's oddball behaviour intriguing. They are not the obvious choice, and they're well characterised and brought to life If a touch hammy, though it's a hammy series. Hammy, what does hammy mean? Like, I don't really get what hammy means. Over theatrical. Okay, I don't mind that. I lived through the theatrics. Vote Jack for the voice of reason 2024. The voice of reason 2024. No, Dorian has that pleasure. Dorian has that. Sorry, Dorian is the voice of pragmatism, and he has that pleasure. They're not the obvious choice. They're a bit too hammy. You can, of course, romance them too. Any of them, apparently. And I dabble in a bit of that. Hitting the big heart icon in a dialogue wheel, talking to Harding, and then Nev, and then Lucanus. I'm not fussy. It prompted some tender moments, but nothing steamy. Most of this happens back at the impressive new base, the Lighthouse, which is located inside the Fade itself, the place magic is drawn from. It's a place of floating platforms and improbable architecture. Then and over time, each of your companions will occupy different dormant parts of it, where you'll venture to meet them. To this end, there's a nice time-saving feature, whereby a kind of floating light illuminates outside their buildings to denote that they have a story moment within, which saves you transpiring around, traipsing around, and I like how the door flies open automatically as you near them. You'll be able to customize the lighthouse in some way, I believe, though BioWare is staying determinedly close-lipped about how. Ooh! This is your home, and it's where you and your companions will cozy up around the fire for group scenes and discussions, and where you'll receive quests as scrolls on pedestals, which is convenient. It's also where you'll venture forth on adventures, though, through the Alluvia Mirror in the basement, into the crossroads beyond. It's full of detail, and from what I've seen, every bit the match for Inquisition's show-stopping castle in the mountains, Skyhold. Brilliant. Yeah, I love that dynamic. You don't need to go, does Cassandra want to talk, does Harding want to talk to me? Like an Inquisition where you'd run around, you'd jump, you'd go up that rotunda, up all those steps, see if Liliana wanted to talk to you and she didn't. So then you jump back down to Solat and he also didn't want to talk to you. Now there's an indicator of who wants to talk to you and the doors will swing open so you can engage in that cutscene. Chat, anything fun to say? Just defining the word, thank you again. So I said theatrical, silly, shifting personalities, cheesy, quippy, dramatic. Yeah, thanks chat, I appreciate it. Over the top. I also did love jumping on Solas's table as well, and that is not an innuendo. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Being like, Badoosh, hi. And he's like, Vanan. I have a good idea of how the Veilguard plays, then, but it's not enough time to answer some of the questions that still nag me. Okay, so what are those? Such as how much depth overall there will be. Dialogue choices to me felt like different flavours of the same answer rather than options for differing paths, and the overall thrust of the game felt similar. One path with deviations rather than distinctly different routes. There are big choices. There are choices that change the fate of entire cities, but these are mainly main quests, moments carefully written in. They are not the many smaller choices that make up a meaningful tapestry of our own. I've only played one act of a 3-act game though, so there's a lot more I haven't seen. And what I have seen was condensed into action-packed missions and sequences, with the exception of the slightly more open-ended crossroad area, which you'll return to time and time again. I didn't see much in the way of downtime because there wasn't time for it. And so I haven't seen the quieter moments of the game. And you know what? It's a really good point because I do think the quieter moments of the game are what does make Dragon Age for a lot of us. While we do think about the Haven, Corypheus attacking scenes, or finding the Red Lyrium idol, and Bartram betraying us, and you know, the Battle of Ostagar, the Landsmeet, the DLCs from playing as Liliana to understanding Marjolin's betrayal to the big lore pieces of the Architect to all of the above. Dragon Age, I think for a lot of us, is equally shaped by the smaller, quieter moments. Learning about Liliana's past, her joking about tasting the forbidden fruits, and learning about the betrayal of Marjolaine from her herself, or learning about Zevran and his take on the Antivan Crows, or listening to Sten explain the Cunari for the first time, or having that first flirtation scene of Alistair. You know, it's a lot of the smaller moments that also make Dragon Age, and probably make Dragon Age the most, for a lot of us, I think. Having the conversations with Solas, talking to us about the Fade and advising on us and how he saw the hero Ferelden and the bits of lore nuggets he drops, to sitting down and having a drink with Sarah, or eating cookies on a rooftop with Sarah, or having a little gossip with Vivienne. It's all about the smaller moments as well as it is about the big moments and the gameplay. However, I would say from a gameplay point of view, it sounds like it's in the right direction. It sounds like, you know, I think we could kind of safely bet that the smaller moments are going to be in there. And so to hear that the gameplay is better, you know, the mission-based levels is great. The companions are more hammy, but that's always been Dragon Age. That's great stuff to hear. So, you know, I think the downtime is something that we expect anyway. But, yeah, regardless. DeCasta says, please explain what a table would be in I'm not finishing that. I've only played one act of the third game, though. Oh, we already read that, yeah. Regardless, I'm elated to see BioWare in this kind of form again. As a cinematic action game, the Veilguard roars with quality. And as a role-playing game, it provides a welcome refreshment to the density of Baldur's Gate 3, which it will no doubt be compared against, though perhaps it would be better considered a complement to. Oh, hammy, Bill, I asked the same question. Hammy means like theatrical, over-the-top, dramatic. I know, I asked the same question. Based on what I've played, I've absolutely no doubt the Veilguard will be an enjoyable ride. My only concern is how much of a memorable one it will be. Honestly, really appreciate Eurogamer's thoughts here and past the 2 articles we've looked at. Really good. I really like this publication. It's really good. It's really well thought out, critical, but still like from a point of view of they're fans of the series. Yeah, I really, really like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly take a 2-minute tea break, and we're going to come back and we're going to look at a potential different spin of an article. I'm not going to say negative. It's somebody's opinion. But yeah, quick tea break, and I'll be right back in 2 minutes. But yeah, I need to get a quick snack. I might get some squashies and some more tea, because, you know, your Brit loves his tea. So back in 2 minutes, quick tinfoil break. Get a glass of wine or some tea, or whatever it is you all would like to drink as we continue looking at these articles. But be right back. Okay, we are back. I have refilled my French Bulldog mug and we have more sleepy tea. What are we chatting about? Everybody loves the Orlais theme. I am glad you all love it. I also can't wait to hear more music from the new Dragon Age game. And it has been confirmed that it is Lorne and Hans Zimmer doing it, which is crazy. Oh my goodness. How good. Just checking the chat. I'm glad you like the sequence. Thank you, Naked Singularity. You like it? Yeah. Thank you. Glass of wine, fancy? We normally drink a glass of wine or tea for Rook Club. I think book clubs are a good thing to drink wine for. If anybody is unaware, just in case you're not, I always love promoting it. But every Wednesday around this time, we do a Rook Club, which is where we're reading all of the stories of Dragon Age 7 Nights. It's so much fun. I have a bunch of people from my Discord, and we come and we voice the characters, and it is so fun. And it's helped really establish a lot of the things behind the scenes for the Veilguard characters, story, lore, plot points. Also, just good fun and excitement, and just fun content as we ramp up to the game coming out in what a couple 8 weeks. How many 8s going to 43 days? 5? How many weeks? I don't know. But yeah, so it's really good fun. I do recommend people checking out if you're interested in the books and you want more lore, or you just want some good Dragon Age content on a Wednesday. People love it. Am I going to read other Dragon Age stories? It's an idea that I do have. If I did do that, that would be post the Veilguard, because literally, Rook Club is counting down weekly to the Veilguard release. We've got like the same amount of stories we have left is the same amount we have for the weeks left for the Veilguard to come out. But we're going to do like 2 stories in one go or something like that, just to make it work easier. 6 weeks today. Thank you, Fisto, for your re. Kitty says, best voice actors and readers on YouTube, my biased opinion. Kitty, you are too sweet. Ah, thank you for recommending it, chat. Thank you. Sorry, my eye's itchy. Massively appreciate it. It's, honestly, I just love how fun it is and the amazing talent people have in this community, and just to shine that. It just means a lot to me that I have such a brilliant, lovely community that wants to interact with me as a creator, but like I don't just feel like like there's this level. Like I do feel like I am just a really in touch with the community, and I love that. I love being more of a community figurehead than a content creator, because I love being in touch with this community as much as I can be. So it's brilliant to have so many people who want to join in on that. It's really good. Read Asunder, please. I would love to read Asunder. Maybe afterwards. Hurt me. Maybe afterwards. Ah, Awea Anne, that is too kind. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I apologise if I butchered that name. Incoherent screeching. So we're going to look at next is PC Games opinion. And it's an opinion, but we do want to look at it just to get a diverse array, of opinions. Because we're going to look at a quite glaring one, I've been told by my friends. It's quite a glaring one after that. So, yeah, we're going to look at PC Games PC Games N. Is that their name, I believe? And just to have a look at this opinion. Oh, Naked, thank you. Yeah, check it out. It's honestly, we've got them all as VODs, but it's so fun. It's so fun, honestly. But it's crazy that there's 6 weeks left till Dragon Age: The Veilguard. We're so close, folks. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Just Cowboy. I am also just as surprised and upset, but it's fine. We live on. It's okay. I appreciate people also sharing their what's the word? Just appreciation for me as well, and also the same. Like they are just as surprised, but also, want that too. So I appreciate it. Thank you. It means a lot. It means a lot. I'll be able to post them, Kyle, because the content itself is editorial in nature. So we can do the content. I contacted EA if I could do Rook Club back in 2021 because I always wanted to do it. And I'm really glad I waited, actually. But we can do it because we're reading the books. And what we do is it's a book club, so we talk about it afterwards. So we can do it just because we get to talk about the books, the characters, the plot. But also, even if we didn't do that, because we're voice acting the characters, because we're adding our own spin to the book, it's editorial in nature. So there's no restrictions to the content I can do by reading a book, at least according to EA. So yeah, I did get full permission and consent before I did do that. So yeah. Exactly, Shelley Bean. Exactly. Jack, are you going to make a Taylor Swift OC? You know I am, King Homebody. My first... sorry. My second playthrough, or my first stream playthrough, will be Dragon Age Taylor's version. I'm just living to the brand that I have created, and I'm creating Taylor Swift as a rook. She'll be a rogue, Antivan Crow, maybe an archer. Yeah, she'll be an archer. She has to be an archer because she's got a song called The Archer. And I will be making choices based on Taylor Swift lyrics. I'm doing it. And yeah, I cannot wait to do that. That'll be so fun. And that'll be my second playthrough of the game after playing it for the first time. Right, I apologise for this ad. I don't have ad block. I know. So let's read this article and we can share our thoughts on it. This is by Lauren Bergen on PC Games Zen. Headline: After playing for 7 hours, Dragon Age Veilguard just isn't it. Dragon Age Veilguard brings Phaedrus to life in ways its predecessors could only dream of. But its combat and exploration are a letdown. Okay, so that gives us more context. Some moments in my career have felt somewhat surreal. Making promises to grab drinks with Overwatch's Mercy VA at the Edinburgh Fringe next year, Lucy. Interviewing Diablo 4's Joe Shelley and Rod Ferguson in a hotel where the Spice Girls some wannabe. Lol. They're things I've dreamed of but never believed would actually happen. I also never thought... Sorry, people are saying good things and I just read it as a negative thing. This, yeah, let me continue reading this one. I also thought I'd never sit in EA's San Francisco headquarters surrounded by stunning tarot-inspired art from Dragon Age the Veilguard. I'm here for a lengthy 7-hour preview of the upcoming fantasy game surrounded by tavern-style wooden tables and lines of PC. After 10 long years of waiting, I'm finally getting my hands on the next installment in Phaedrus' ongoing saga. Sometimes dreams come true. Okay, so Lauren's a fan. Again, just her opinion. Let's see what she has to say and take it subjectively, but just hear her out because we also need to understand, different perspectives of this game. We've had very, very glaring ones, but let's listen to what she has to say. Our Dragon Age the Veilguard journey begins with a character creator, something that previous Dragon Age games aren't exactly renowned for. It's a true point. Having replayed Inquisition as a female elf, I'm being polite when I say that the character customization was sorely lacking, especially in the hairstyle department, I agree. As Varric introduces Rook in his usual bardic drawl, the first thing I notice is of course the hair, yes! Whether you're looking for exactly Kitty, whether you're looking for tight curls, sharp bangs or practical ponytails, it's there and it looks gorgeous. You can see each individual strand, compare how it looks in different lighting, and rotate your character to cause a satisfying hair swish. Exactly, Mina, exactly. While there wasn't the Ariana Grande style high long ponytail I always go for, there's no denying that the choices are incredibly impressive, perhaps even more so than rival BG3. And again, don't forget Lauren's a fan and she said that it was a dream to play the Veilguard. A few moments, easily 15 minutes later, I'm no longer Lauren, news editor of PC Games Zen. I'm now Swan, an elven mage allied with the Lords of Fortune, Ravain's notorious treasure hunters. I'm thrust into the cold, eerie streets of Menrathis, the heart of the Tevinter Imperium, a huge circular for cauldron, watchtower-esque structure looms over the citadel, the Circle Tower. Its authorities barking orders, 1984 style, at the inhabitants below. I actually made the very same 1984 link too. In a flash of brilliant white, it illuminates a young woman in a spotlight, preparing to exterminate her. As she cries for mercy, chaos ensues. Rage and pride demons start to spill from the surrounding alleyways. Solas has torn open the veil, and you need to hurry. While I saw this scene during my hands-off preview at Summer Games Fest, it's the first time I've been able to physically play through it. I picked up Mage for this part of the preview because, while I've laterally played Rogue, Mage was the first class I truly fell in love with. Armed with my trusty staff, I go about dispatching Venatori cultists and demonic entities with renewed ferocity, but the experience comes up somewhat lacking. Attacks feel slow and clunky. It seems like everything around me is moving quickly while I'm stuck in slow motion. Thankfully, I eventually have the option to switch out for a glowing orb and sharpened knife. Think a mixture of the traditional rogue and spellcaster mechanics. Given my aforementioned penchant for rogues, I jump at the offer, buying into the game's promise of faster, low-powered attacks. Unfortunately, while this playstyle looks good and is, on paper, pretty damn cool, I don't see much difference in speed. Dashes provide more mobility, but my general squishiness and low damage offset that negligible speed boost. All in all, Orb and Dagger is an exciting new innovation on Dragon Age's traditional cast spell, smash staff into the ground mage gameplay, but it isn't strong enough for me to make the switch. Fair point. It's a fair point. Completely fair to make. Having felled a particular nasty pride demon and disrupted Solas's mysterious ritual, and whisked away to our home base, the Lighthouse. Trapped in the heart of the Fade, the location is somewhat reminiscent of Origin's Circle of Magi, with sprawling shelves and countless dusty tomes, but outside, gnarled bridges made of twisty tree branches, lead you to companions' rooms. It's certainly a level up on Inquisition's Haven. But I'm not here for long. A mysterious alluvion calls to me from the basement. Beyond its ripples lie Arlafan Forest, now overrun with darkspawn following Solas's failed attempt to contain the elven gods, our prime antagonists. Here, I recruit Balara, a plucky elven jumper whose kit revolves around natural magic, and we set off on an adventure through sparkling emerald glades that, quite honestly, take my breath away. At one point, water flows up into the air, a sign of magical disturbance. Yes, but it's all absolutely stunning. We encounter a variety of puzzles to solve, made easier by the ability to call on your companions and use their talents to fix broken switches or create aerial platforms. All in all, the environments are beautiful, and the dynamic lighting means that you can almost feel the gentle heat of the sun. Ooh, there's a shot of Arlafan Forest. But as we delve deeper into the ancient forested world, things begin to change. Towering oak trees have huge, pustle-like groves, attached to them glowing an eerie, skin-like pink as they pulsate. It's the Blight we're all so familiar with, but its inherent connection to the now two escaped elven gods grants it a lifelike parasite feel versus pure, unadulterated death. Ooh. And that's before we get Demeter's Crossing. Once a flourishing port hamlet, Demeter's has been overrun by the Blight, and its inhabitants driven mad. Dark tendrils have overtaken the buildings, with growth sticking to once proud homes and city stalls. We find one of Balara's Veil Jumper colleagues engulfed in a flesh-like mass that's slowly but surely killing them. It feels somewhat Diablo-like, but the setting is recognisably Dragon Age. That confirms that there's a scene in the reveal trailer that they are referring to here. I know exactly what they mean. Our Demeter encounter ends up with a choice. Ooh, okay. Spoilers. Do you leave the mayor wrapped in tentacles for giving up his people for cash? or do you let him repent and cut him free? Given his sins, I chose to let the blight consume him, earning a reprimand from some of my companions. In my opinion, he had it coming. This encounter slacks my vengeance, but also alleviates a few of my broader concerns about the Veilguard. Back at Summer Games Fest, I asked EP John Epler about bringing back some of the Origins grit, as the initial reveal trailer felt a little more high fantasy than the dark, twisted world we came to love in the first game. The meta's certainly confirmed that we'll see some blood, guts and gore in Veilguard. Good choice. Same bean. Same. And it proves that you'll make meaningful, oftentimes controversial choices. As the blight squeezes the life from Demeters, it breathes fresh excitement into me. This is darkness I was hoping for. Okay, there we go. Also, since we know this choice, what would people choose between that? I feel like I would want some repentance. I get killing him off for what he did was bad, but then we can make him do something about it. I think my first playthrough will probably let him repent. We'll see. That sense of dread also carries beyond the prologue, and at one point I have to make a choice. Okay. I'll read this, but it sounds very spoilery. At one point I have to make a choice that alters the very fabric of Thedas and involves battling a particular nasty dragon. As part of Lucanus' companion quest, and thrust into the watery bowels of an underwater prison, sent after its keeper, who just so happens to be bathing in blood. The grit and grime is brought to life in stunning detail. I want more of it. Okay, cool. As long as that's all they're going to mention about it. Yeah, cool. At least that's what I thought as I approached the aforementioned bathhouse, this time in the guise of a human rogue. I take on while the rogue's combat is fluid and dynamic, characterized by quick attacks and high mobility. It's all but useless in this fight. Our blood-covered foe attacks using heavy-hitted projectiles, meaning I can't get close to her, and instead of going on the attack, my two companions, Lucanus and Tash, simply follow me around the arena. You can't control companions directly in the Veilguard, instead chaining their attacks together to form combos via the game's tactical screen. While each combo appears to have the same animation regardless of which character and abilities are involved, they do deal some serious damage. In this fight, however, I found that Lucanus and Tash would combo, deal the damage, and then return to my side, versus continuing the fight. That wasn't an issue across the board, but in this encounter it was a real killer. Okay. As a result, most of my time is spent hiding between pillars as my health bar screeches angrily, popping out to take the odd shot with my bow, only to realise the boss either has healed up or is currently immune. As you've likely guessed, it's also the first time I died during my playthrough, and I'm surprised to be offered a revive via the death screen. Unlike an Inquisition, companions can't resurrect you. Instead, revives are dished out numerically. Okay, interesting. And it's unclear whether or not you can increase that number by buying scrolls and potions. Either way, it's a bizarre decision. The companions are there, so why not use them? That's a fair critique. I feel like if you're a necromancer, you should actually defos be able to revive. Like, come on, you're a necromancer. There's the through line of my time with the Veilguard. Is this the end of it? Almost. Yeah, almost. While Thedas looks better than ever, and I've finally caught a glimpse of the canals of Treviso, a state I've been desperate to see ever since I romanced Zevran, the beauty is marred by often middling gameplay, especially if you're a mage. I only tried rogue and mage, instances grew progressively harder, and warrior has never been my thing. Okay, maybe I think if you're going there for the impressions, you should try warrior as well. I get it, it's good to hear the perspective of somebody who loves mages and is going for a mage, but also warrior's not my thing, so I didn't try warrior, bearing in mind I'm playing this game early and I'm gathering my impressions on this game. Okay. Yeah. Of the two, the rogues is easily the most enjoyable. Okay, that's another person saying that. It's fairly slick and tactically tricky, whereas mage feels slow, boring, and squishy. Where mages once ruled Thedas' tier lists, rogue is finally getting its place in the sun, albeit to the detriment of my other preferred class. The mission I played also felt railroaded, and while level designer Francois Caput assures me that things open up as you progress, I spent much of my time going from one spot to another on a predetermined path. While it's preferable to Inquisition's MMORPG sprawl and grind, the world still feels a little bit lifeless. In sections I played, there were no NPCs asking for help, no weird little creatures to hunt. It gets from A to B, achieve your goal, and head back to the lighthouse. While its characters and narrative world building feel realised, the Veilguard's combat and exploration don't quite sing during my preview, being in the first 7 hours of gameplay as well, context. Perhaps looking back at Origins and 2, there's always been the case. A lot of us play for the story and forgive the moment-to-moment action, it's definitely true, but there are flashes of greatness in the Rogue that prove BioWare can do cool shit. And the world itself is stunning to behold, but very look, don't touch. If your aim is to play through the story and romance your favourite companion, then I think you'll walk away satisfied. As someone who's waited a decade, however, my expectations are now muted. Okay, it's a fair critique, but also a huge statement based on 6 hours of gameplay. Also, they didn't try Warrior, and if Rogue surprised them, maybe Warrior could have surprised them too. That's my take on that. I appreciate that. I agree with what I last said at the start. It's a bit too much of a massive headline there when all you're really saying is I didn't like the exploration, or it was too A to B, and I didn't like playing as a mage. I think the thing about mages is it seems they're going to open up really, really well in the end. I think that's the thing about mages. You know, it seems like you're going to be doing a lot of dodging, casting spells, getting that mana bar, learning that stuff at the start. Slow progression because you've only got so much mana. But I think when you are high level mage, it's going to be iconic. You're going to be casting so many spells, you're going to be darting around, you're going to be doing all your heavy hitters pretty soon, and as well as the specializations. So I think mage is probably more of your slower to become OP, which is fine, but I suppose when you compare that to rogues and warriors who are faster, I can understand that. But yeah, fair critiques, but a bit clickbaity. It isn't it because the exploration and I didn't like the mage gameplay. It's kind of clickbaity. The A to B doesn't worry me because it's Dragon Age, and Dragon Age has always been A to B. Now, yes, Dragon Age has always been A to B. Doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't mean it shouldn't be fixed. But at the same time, like, I don't mind that. I would rather have A to B than hub-based open worlds with 50 shards to go and collect. But now you have more fleshed out characters, more fleshed out levels, a lot more missions to crack on with. Stuff like that. But yeah. That's my thoughts. It's a fair take, but it's clickbaity. Yeah. Right, what have we got next? So we've got... Chat, I'll let you choose. We have got GameSpot with Tamir Hussein. We have got Polygon. We have got Games Radar, or we've got Kotaku. So, vote. GameSpot, Polygon, Games Radar, Kotaku. Kotaku, Games Radar, Polygon, GameSpot. GameSpot, Polygon, Games Radar, Kotaku. Who would you like us to read next? Because I would like you to choose. So, one vote for each so far. I'll give you all a few minutes. Oh, I'll give you like a minute. GameSpot, Polygon, Kotaku, Games Radar. Kotaku? The most clickbaity one possible. Okay, we'll do GameSpot. We will do Kotaku last. Okay. Forgive the Tesco adverts. I don't know why they're popping up. So, Tamir Hussein, who I do love, he's a big BioWare fan. I've watched his content previous to Andromeda. Yeah, I like Tamir Hussein a lot. Yeah, good dude, good editor over there at GameSpot. So I do trust things that he does say. So, we'll jump straight into this one. The Veilguard feels like BioWare at its most confident. 6 hours with the Veilguard leaves an encouraging indication that fans are in for a treat. You need your groceries brought, obviously. It's true, Kitty. It's true. So, by Tamura Hussein. This isn't something lost on Corin Bush, game director of the Veilguard, who said that despite all the considerations, the team has been laser focused on making the most authentic, exciting and honest Dragon Age game it can, and that's exactly what it felt like to me after playing for several hours. There's a feeling of confidence in everything the Veilguard seems to do. You can't argue that comes with the lengthy development time, a significant portion of which was no doubt dedicated to refining and polishing. But to me it was also indicative of BioWare a BioWare that feels anchored and in control again, that has a firm grasp on what it is and what its games should be. That confidence is evident from the outset, where Varric recounts his relationship and history with former companion turned antagonist Solas, the Dread Wolf, an ancient elven god of lies, or a heroic rebel, depending on who you ask. Inquisition's iconic tarot card-inspired art style returns to illustrate Varric's tale, and the sharp but personable nature of the intro's writing made for an elegant recap of the events leading to this point. And that, Varric says, is where you come in. As Rook, the soon-to-be leader of a search party that has tracked Solas to Manrathus, the capital of the Imperium, you're tasked with locating a local expert in a seedy bar. Okay, thank you, Nicole. I will avoid that, thank you. Nicole said there's spoilers, so we will avoid the middle. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. We join as Rook and Varric demand the location of Nevgalis. So we know this, we know this. We know that, we already know that. We know that stuff anyway. So, they're talking about the intro again. Previous games haven't looked this good. Veilguard has a flair for its aesthetics, its cleaner, vibrant colours. A nice change from the palette of Inquisition. Otherworldly and magical feel to it. The dark foreboding lighting illuminate rustic taverns like Dracula's Castle, like the Archon's Palace, Tevinter Imperium. Though maybe a cliche, Manrathus has a strong sense of identity and place. Brilliant. So, we have... Okay, cool. Our philosophy... Hello, Barlotta, how you doing? 50 words, turn left, away from spoilers. Yeah. Oh, where is the spoilers? Right, let's try and find it. So... in the middle. I won't spoil. Wild differences, Mass Effect 2. Something about his decision. So we'll ignore that. Okay. I think we went past it. Yeah, I think we did go past it. I'm just checking. I did see something about while I won't spoil. Okay. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm just going to read the conclusion. I'm just going to read the conclusion. It all goes back to that confidence that I mentioned. Dragon Age Inquisition is a game I love, but I can also recognise as being very messy, often poorly paced. It's definitely poorly paced, and occasionally a bit of a bore to play. I don't agree with that one. The disparate ideas and uneven execution make me feel like it didn't have a clear direction. And maybe the development crisis it went through as well. Veilguard, from what I played, came across as the complete opposite. A game that looks to have found a strong identity, established clear objectives, and built around the core principles that elevated BioWare to the top of the role-playing genre. I came away from hands-on with Dragon Age the Veilguard, desperate to play more. Thinking to myself, BioWare might be back. As for what the game could mean for the future of the studio and its other projects, Bush said her priority was honouring Dragon Age's legacy above all else. Yay, good. I want to approach it with humility. I will tell you the thing that I think about more than other is honouring the legacy of what's come before. This is an opportunity to expand this world, the rich tapestry of lore and people in a way that really affects people's lives. So when I think about what's at stake and what this game means to fans, I approach it with a sense of reverence for what came before. I really want people to see themselves in this game. I want them talking about this for the next 10 years and to live up to that standard. And I feel it in the team. A game like this, it really is a reflection of the people who made it. And that commitment to it being an offline, fully complete, authentic game that's really driven and empowered the team to tap into their deepest creative energies. It's truly a work of love. Yeah, I've avoided the spoilers section, Waxy, already on Discord. No, thank you, honestly, Nicole. I would rather not. To be fair, Tamu is just talking a lot about stuff we already know. And I appreciate that. But at the same time, I don't want to risk spoilers if it is, you know. I will read Kotaku's, because apparently Kotaku's is non-spoilery. And people really like Kotaku's. My friends all sent me Kotaku's first. This will be the last one I'll read, just because I'm going to wrap this up as it's getting pretty late. I mean, this is a long one as well, so yeah, you're not getting rid of me anytime soon. But I'll just, let you know, this is the last one I'll read. Because we've got a good selection of press. But it's also getting pretty late for me too. So, we'll read Kotaku. Anybody have any thoughts on Tamura? His piece said that sense of confidence, sense of identity, really, really strong sense of that for the Veilguard, where Inquisition didn't have, the Veilguard does have, which is really nice. It's really nice to hear. Reassuring. And the fact that it's a work of love, BioWare creating this out of love, and as reverence of what came before it. Oh, thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining and listening to me ramble on. I really, really appreciate it. Oh, thank you, Elast. I appreciate it regardless. So we'll check out Kotaku. 7 hours with the Veilguard. Has BioWare learned the right lessons? The decade since Inquisition has taught BioWare a lot about its past and future. This is by Kenneth Shepard. Yeah, JD, I would as well. I would. I've been waiting for the Veilguard for 10 years. Same. The last game developer BioWare put out was Anthem, an ill-fated loot shooter that chased live service trends and felt like a misuse of the team's talents. In the years since, there has been reports and admissions from the studio that the fourth entry in the fantasy RPG franchise had undergone multiple revamps, including pivoting away from a live service multiplayer-driven game in 2021. It's true. At a glance, the Veilguard, with its emphasis on narrative and on the multiple, well-deserved, three-dimensional companions you can befriend or romance, seems like a strategic shift back to core principles for a studio that has been fumbling to find its voice again. Oh, I love that. Really nicely well written. That. I'm not surprised by it, but it sounds, that's nice. The Veilguard is a single-player, story-driven RPG with a focus on its companions, so precise that BioWare renamed the game to represent its team of mages, warriors, and rogues, rather than the elven god Solas they hope to stop from ending the world. The game's original title, Dreadwolf, was a reference to him, the antagonist. All of these elements are the makings of a BioWare game that will draw in fans of the studio, known for its character writing, relationships, and world building. But despite their presence, Veilguard has already been divisive, and its hard pivot into an action RPG genre feels decidedly at odds with Dragon Age's CRPG roots. Which begs the question, after 10 years, has BioWare learned the right lessons? Not just from its own struggles over the last tumultuous decade, but from the success that made Dragon Age and the studio beloved in the first place. After playing 7 hours of the Veilguard, I'm feeling more confident than ever that it has. Great, bloody hell. I mean, I always thought Kotaku were always quite harsh on BioWare. So to hear that they are saying yes is brilliant. Again, just Kenneth's opinions, but it's great to hear. We've reviewed a lot of articles that press are saying really good things about it. With one clickbaiting negative one, well, not negative, having a different perception on it that kind of was more clickbaity than anything. As a long-time fan of the series, what struck me about the Veilguard was how, despite its fast-paced action combat bearing little or no resemblance to the battles of the previous games, much of the connective tissue between the story and past world-building feels intact. The game stars Rook, a new hero of your own creation, working with Varric and Harding to take down Solas, the elven mage from Inquisition, who was revealed to be actually an elven god called the Dread Wolf. The Veilguard had its own twists and turns that make even that synopsis merely the tip of the iceberg. But as a starting point, it's comforting to know we're heading into the conflict fans have been waiting for. But it's not just the... See, this is written really well. Yeah, same, Waxy, same. Literally, typed that as soon as I said it. I'm really liking the way this is written. I'm a writer, I should know how to say this. I really like how this has been written. Because it's not spoiling it, but it's just giving you the indications without telling you. It's, yeah, revealing it in such a great way. But it's not just the main plot that draws heavily from previous threads. Much of the game takes place in Manrathus, the magical city of the Imperium, where magic reigns over the common man. We've heard conflicting accounts about the city, from Mage Pariah Dorian Pavis and Elven Slave Fenris. Now we're finally going back to what feels like BioWare's magical take on an oppressive cyberpunk city, where we'll get to form our own impressions of it, and in classic BioWare fashion, make a difference. I've been a mage in all three previous games. I loved a Tevinter slave in DA2, and a man who hoped to change the country in Inquisition. In playing the early hours as my radical mage Rook, it felt like all of my time in the Dragon Age universe had been leading to this moment. Oh, no way! The Veilguard feels like the Dragon Age game I've been waiting for. If that isn't the compliment we've all been wanting to hear, then that's pretty freaking good, right? After waiting 10 years and hearing reports of drastic shifts in this project, I was naturally concerned about whether we'd get a satisfying continuation of Solas' story. According to John Epler, abandoning that plot thread was never in the cards, even as the game that would become the Veilguard went through multiple iterations. At every iteration of this game, it was going to be the hunt for Solas. Epler told Kotaku. We ended Trespasser with a dagger in the map of Tevinter. Those were kind of the core of the story. We knew we wanted to go to Northern Thedas, and part of that was just we wanted to try something new, go somewhere new. And I mean, for me, Tevinter has always been this place we've said so much about, but we've never been able to show it before, so it was always like we need to go there. That makes the most sense, and then for Solas, obviously at the end of Inquisition, he revealed himself as the Dread Wolf. At the end of Trespasser, we revealed his plan. Those two have always been a part of this game, no matter what. Those two. Solas the Dread Wolf as two. Ooh, okay, interesting. Oh, wait, no, sorry, they're talking about the Inquisitor as well? Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah, I don't know. Because Dread Wolf, Solas, but then no mention of the Inquisitor, but obviously, I don't know. It was always going to be about Solas to some degree, and it was always going to be particularly... Oh, Tevinter. Tevinter. That's what he's talking about. Northern Lights, I'm going to take that with complete speculation, and if that happens in the game, I will be over the moon, but I will take that with complete speculation. That would be crazy if true, like. While Tevinter and the city of Manrathus has been central to everything we've seen of the Veilguard so far, the game broadly takes place in Northern Thedas, using the series' Alluvian network to let players bounce around other distinct locations, like Antiva, Ravane, which have been spoken about in previous games. However, one of the ways BioWare seems to have been measured and plays to its own skill set is that BioWare seems to have measured and played to its own skill set is that Veilguard doesn't echo Inquisition's open zone structure, nor is it quite Dragon Age 2, which all took place in one concentrated area. Instead, what I played felt more structured like a Mass Effect game. There we go again, another correlation to Mass Effect. Utilising bespoke missions and environments that tell contained stories that flow back into the main one, and that's good because it bloody works. One of the best examples was the recruitment mission for Lucanus. I won't read that because I don't really want to know. Yeah, I won't read that. The Veilguard had smaller environments that are densely packed with things to care about, rather than a lot of empty spaces for you to ride through on horseback while trying to get the shit that matters. Oh, look at the fashion. Look at the fashion. Where's Mornwatch? Please show me more on what. Oh, let me see. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, Crow looks good. Crow looks good. Yeah, that looks good for a crow. Oh, man. Okay, we've actually got... I don't mind seeing this. Because this is just... We know this. So, reputation of the crows quicker. Okay, I'm going to look at them one at one. Deal damage with the Antam is what you get if you're a crow. Here we go. So if you're a lot of fortune, you get reputation with the Lords of Fortune quicker. You deal damage against mercenaries, we knew that one. And we knew that one as well, that you can perform takedowns, slightly less effort, we knew that one. So you've got 3 different casual wear, light, heavy. I'm choosing Moon. What factors are we really going for? I'm going for Moon Watch for sure. Gain reputation with the Moon Watchers more quickly. Deal damage against demons and undead. Yeah, literally. And then you can apply additional affliction stacks on targets. I'm going to be afflicting a lot of necrotic damage for my Moon Watcher, so that will be great. I'll see what other affliction stacks I can put on. And then for the Antivan Crow, deal increased damage against the Antam. Could have literally told you that one as well. And they can hold an extra potion. Sick. Oh, you got the surnames too. I mean, I'm excited about that. The river. Okay, the river for either Morn Watcher. No. Morn Watchers in Gelva. Oh, Lader. Like Mike Laidlaw? No. Cool. I like that. Okay. If BioWare feels like it's working with a reasonable scale to cast its strengths, after wasting hours of my life moving through Inquisition's hinterlands, forests, or Andromeda's harsh Eladon deserts, I can't begin to describe how refreshing it was just to get to the heart of what I came here with ease. That's good. Beastman says, been watching some reviews today. I think the major criticism I've seen around is the art style not fitting the game's tone. I think that's the worst of the game. I can live with it. Oh, wow. That's great. Thanks, Beastman, for telling us about that too. We've been reading them, and it's yeah, I haven't seen anything. I've seen people not really saying much about it, but yeah. Me too, Kitty. Me too. The action-based combat, meanwhile, feels more comparable to that of Mass Effect than Dragon Age. For better or for worse, you have 2 companions rather than 3, and you can't swap control for them to how you play. This is certainly a change that's hard to swallow for long-time fans, and when I heard this news, I was concerned about what we'd gain in this trade-off. But as it turns out, I never encountered an enemy or situation that merited switching off my Rook to play as Harding, the Ice Mage Nev, or any of the other companions I fought alongside in my 7 hours of play. Okay. Good. In a vacuum, Veilguard feels like an exceptionally solid action RPG, but it's not designed to feel evocative of previous Dragon Age games, and I know that will rub people the wrong way. Now, I get that, but also every Dragon Age game is so different. So, yes, it's not going to feel evocative of other games, but neither of them have. Inquisition's so different to 2. 2's so different to Origins. Guess what? The Veilguard's so different to Inquisition. That's just Dragon Age. That's just development. That's just the long period of these games. That is just iconic of the franchise and why the fan base is different. Not, I don't want to say divided, but just people have their own preferences for their own reason. Yes, villainous. You can call me J-Dog. Red Scar, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate it. By becoming a member, you can join my Discord. A nice, lovely, friendly community there of just brilliant people in this community. But yeah, villainous. You can call me J-Dog. But yeah, anyway, I'll let Kenneth explain. However, I don't feel like I've lost anything in not being able to swap companions because the game seems thoughtfully designed so that you'll never need to. Here, your teammates act more or less as cooldown machines, dropping in their own abilities at your command or helping you execute combos. They're here to support you, rather than offering skill sets you'll want or need to deploy yourself. There's an enjoyable synergy to teamwork that comes from moments like using my ultimate ability to gather enemies together in a black hole while ordering Nev to freeze all of them in place with an ice spell. That sounds sick. It doesn't feel quite like Dragon Age as we know it, but it still feels really good to set up combos alongside your team. But the Veilguard also probably makes me feel like the most independent I've ever felt in fights in Dragon Age, and that's coming from a career mage player. So far what I'm getting is the story, the lore, pulls you back into the 10-year ago Dragon Age, lore aspect. Back right straight in that. However, gameplay-wise, it doesn't feel like any of the previous Dragon Age games. So it retains the series by its story, but different gameplay. And again, that's similar to Origins 2 and Inquisition. More so to an Inquisition, the Origins to 2 Divide story-wise is quite different. But with 2, it was a continuation straight up from Inquisition. Inquisition was a straight up continuation from 2 with Mage Templar War needs being solved. Now we have the Inquisition to solve it, literally directly following those events. Anyway. Every class in the Veilguard feels more versatile than it has in the past, in keeping with the baseline action combat BioWare has designed. Whether you're a warrior, mage or rogue, you get 2 weapon sets that you can switch between on the fly. Warriors can use a standard sword and board build, or change to 2-handed axe. Rogues can go back and forth between dual daggers or a bow. Mages, however, sported the most interesting kit I saw during the preview. My rogue started with a staff that felt like the Veilguard's version of the previous game's long-range mage builds. But I was also able to swap to a dagger and orb build that let me fight at mid-range with a magical sphere I was able to throw back and forth to keep enemies at comforting distance. Then if they got too close, I still had my dagger in hand. Those parallels and the inherent versatility of each class have naturally made some of the more mythological team play of previous games slip through the cracks. But BioWare says the rest of the RPG elements are meant to make it more than a hack and slash game for those who want to create builds. Cool. We've always had different combat styles for Dragon Age games, but the 2 focuses have always been moment-to-moment gameplay, needs to feel fluid, and there needs to be that strategic layer, Epler said. And I think once you start getting especially into the skill trees, once you start getting into companion abilities, there is still a lot of strategy. Hello, Jeff Berg. Always on point, Jack. Thank you. Appreciate it. There's a lot of strategy in the game, and especially as you get to the harder difficulties. You either need with Jeff Berg, I believe, do we have a Rook voice actor in the chat? I think we might have one of Rook's voice actors in the chat. I was just checking. Jeff Berg, thank you for joining the chat. Massively appreciate it. And cannot wait to hear you as Rook in the Veilguard. Massively excited to hear your your take on Rook. Thank you for joining the chat. I appreciate it. Oh man. Super excited to hear and really experience that. Folks, we are witnessing we are witnessing a fangirling moment at the moment. Everybody say hi to Jeff. Oh man, that's crazy. Thank you so much for joining, Jeff. I will continue reading, but thank you, Jeff. Especially as you get harder to the harder difficulties. You either need to be very, very good at the moment-to-moment gameplay, or you need to dive deep into the strategic layer to succeed. While Mass Effect is an easy in-house comparison to make, Epler told me that games like Final Fantasy Remake were a big influence on the Veilguard's world construction, and the Stalker games were a surprising inspiration for environments like Alafan Forest, as this weird magical Chernobyl where things have gone wrong. Yes, Waxy. Yes. Yes, chat. Of course, BioWare has been looking at its own history, but a specific game that Epler cited the most for it from the studio's own past is a surprisingly divisive one. 2011's Dragon Age 2 is one of the most divisive games BioWare put out. The sequel was notorious for its crunch development, and it shows in its smallest scale and reuse of environmental assets. It has some pretty interesting ideas though. Ideas that I can't help think about as I play the Veilguard. It was more action-orientated, more self-contained, taking place as it did in one city, and it's the most companion-driven story in the franchise. The Veilguard is unapologetically an action RPG, stripping away the open zone structure of Inquisition, and it's brought back the divisive, free-for-all romance mechanics of DA2. It's true, Emily. It even falls back into DA2's dialogue system, in which you choose from 3 personalities. Nice, sarcastic, and aggressive, complete with the same icons on its dialogue wheel. Given all of this, I can't help but feel like the Veilguard is a spiritual successor to one of the more controversial games in BioWare's portfolio. Eppa says that each of the past Dragon Age games served as an influence. But DA2 and its party dynamics have been one of the biggest inspirations as the team decided what lessons to take from the sequel's reception over the years. And in my opinion, like DA2 has some of the best characters in that game. Some of the best character dynamics, some of the best moments. I really enjoyed the act-based system as well. And that game was made like within 10 months. Like all the hell people give it, that game was made like with such a short development time. It deserves no disrespect, in my opinion, because for the development they went through, it's insane. And it's still a solid game. Yes, it has repeated areas. Yes, it lacks particular things that Origins had, but it's a fantastic game, honestly. I think for me, it's a lot about the foundations of DA2 that influenced the team. A lot of the ideas behind the characters, especially around the way the companions were handled and how they felt over the course of the game, exactly as you built this group that we looked back on. There were more interactions between companions than there were in pretty much every other Dragon Age game. Inquisition had the Wicked Grace game. Origins had back and forth between characters at camp, but DA2 was the one that really focused on these are people with their own lives. Agree. Again, like it's the whole you know, you have your own house manor thing and so many things happen. It's more reactive in that way. Because it's smaller in scale though, you can go check out what Aveline is doing at the barracks. You can go and see what Meryl has learnt in her house, in the alienage. And that's exactly what Veilguard seemingly is replicating, where apparently companions are out in the world. They're all doing their own thing. You can go and see them. But additionally, they've got their own plots going on too, which I really think is so cool. It's more reactive. J-Dog is full of sass. Thank you, Villainous. Villainous, what is your name in the Discord? Are you in the Discord? I think you're in the Discord, aren't you? But yeah, anyway, back for the folks at BioWare, there still seems to be a lot of love for DA2, despite its troubled development and mixed reception. Asked if there was anxiety or concern about drawing back on such a divisive game, Eppa said looking back on it for the Veilguard is just about making a judgment call on what was worthwhile to revisit and what shortcomings may have just been a result of the development parameters the team was given. You villainous kitty. Alright, well, yeah, I know that. No, I do know that. I do. Let me. Where are you, villainous kitty? I'm gonna put in the general chat. Where is villainous? Oh, there you are. No, I reckon. Let me see your icon. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna add you as a friend to make up for not realizing. I didn't realize you were named Villainous Kitty in the server, but I've added you as a friend to make up for it, Villainous. I go by no other name. So the anxiety part, what was it? Eppa says, looking back on the Veilguard, it's just about making a judgment call on what was worthwhile to revisit and what shortcomings may have just been a result of the development parameters the team was given. I don't know if there's so much anxiety. If there's so much anxiety, it's just something where you want to make sure you're drawing the right lessons and not drawing the wrong lessons from it. It was, at the end of the day, it was a game made in a very short period of time. A lot of that was, I wouldn't say failures of execution. It was executed as best as it could be. But I could never be necessarily executed better than that, and exactly because it was made in 10 months because of EA demanding that they facilitate a game in a particular quarter. Thank you, Melfina. I appreciate it. That means a lot. You have to change it here for professional reasons. Oh, villainous. Back to basics. Corin Bush said during a developer Q&A after our demo that Dragon Age's constant reinvention of itself has been the greatest challenge and the most interesting opportunity for her, and said picking and choosing what to bring with them from previous games was a key question throughout the Veilguard's development. Whether it's small things like Rook's 6 possible backgrounds, feeling like an homage to the original Dragon Age origins, or larger scale design philosophies like the fast-pacing combat of DA2, clearly influencing that of the Veilguard. I think I could speak for the entirety of the team that our hopes is that this all comes together to respect what we've been, but also what advances the franchise into this next adventure into Phaedus. From what I played, I believe that it will. I don't think I would have believed that if the Veilguard had been a live service multiplayer game. I have spent the past 10 years feeling cynical about Dragon Age, as I long feared it wouldn't be able to deliver the conclusion I was looking for, and with each passing year, my cynicism only grew. Andromeda brought me back home to my favourite world in video games, but was chasing open world and live service trends in the margins of what, with proper scaling, could have been a better game. Anthem confirmed my fears that a studio which had created worlds I'd spent thousands of hours in and thousands of hours thinking about had been devoured by the hunt for the next big live service phenomenon. Now, the Veilguard feels both like a calculated return to familiar territory and a bold declaration of what the studio should have been making these past 10 years. It's a shame it took all this strife to get here, but playing those 7 hours made me more confident than I felt in years that this team has its head on straight again. The Veilguard might not be the game some fans want, but it feels like the game BioWare needs. That, honestly, best thing we've read all day. From the fact that it's from a point of view of somebody who was very, very, very cynical about the Veilguard, going into this cynical, and now they're changed and they're saying, actually, you know what, that's what people need to see. This is kind of what I think a lot of negative YouTubers need to see. I mean, they don't really care for it, do they really? I shouldn't be talking about those kinds of people who, whatever. But the people who are skeptical, on the fence, and understandably so, with a bit of skepticism, need to read this, because that is spot on of, this is somebody who is not, enjoyed BioWare in the past 10 years, has been cynical on Dragon Age. They play the first 7 hours of the game and they go, right, yep, this may not be, it's going to be a divisive game. Not everybody's going to love it, is what the interpretation we get. Some people aren't going to gel with the combat. Dragon Age is different every game. The story retains the same, so it maintains the same from picking up the events of Inquisition, but taking that into a new direction. But it's going to be a divisive game for those who, yeah, exactly, last. For those who for some people won't like it. Some people who are hardcore Dragon Age fans won't like it because it's different. The combat's different, the gameplay is different, it's a different dynamic, it's different from Inquisition. It's more similar than Dragon Age 2, which we already know is a divisive game anyway. But also, as Mina Shepherd just said, you can't please everyone. However, for those who do that, for those who people will like, for those who are into action RPGs, who aren't bothered about it not being a CRPG, or not about the tactics element of it, or are a fan of the action combat of DA2, and are okay with not having hub-based open worlds and having a more of a Mass Effect approach, and are probably more fans of Mass Effect and Mass Effect level design and Mass Effect gameplay design. It sounds like you're going to really, this is the kind of game that you're going to really enjoy. And it sounds like it's the game that ultimately BioWare are creating. That it sounds like is a success. Again, though, some people won't like it. That's fine. But I think, generally speaking, the types of audiences, the people who watch my content, it sounds like it's everything we kind of want it to be. Subjectively, based on what we've talked about today. Again, Waxy, brilliant point. Mass Effect is a brilliant foundation for gameplay. I think it's great. The thing about Mass Effect is it's consistent and you know what you're getting. And it is that brilliant foundation of what BioWare make really good. Dragon Age has been inconsistent. You know, I love DA2, I love Origins, I love Inquisition, but it's always been inconsistent. Whereas the Mass Effect trilogy has no inconsistencies from a gameplay point of view. It always improves upon the previous gameplay iterations. Having that as a foundation is a really good idea, and it's what BioWare have done really, really well. From the level design, to the character customization, to, you know, the gameplay, the combat, the synergies, the, you know, how the combat works from a tactical point of view, works really well. For Dragon Age to take that approach might piss off some CRPG fans. Definitely will piss off those who want more of an isometric feel, more of a calculated feel. But, you know, it's not doing that. It's going for the faster paced, action orientated combat. You know, so I'm confident I'm going to like it. I love Mass Effect. It's just a case of if you folks like Mass Effect and you are not bothered about it not being more of a CRPG, more of a, you know, an ode to Origins. If you enjoyed the combat style of DA2 and Mass Effect 2, you're in for a ride, it sounds like. Now you combine that with Dragon Age's storytelling, which everybody has said the story's great. Well, from a, you know, from an early point of view, that's something that's hooked them all in. It's just a gameplay that really is the most divisive part of it, and I'm okay with that. I'm so excited for that, to be honest. I love Mass Effect 2 so much. I mean, even Mass Effect 3 improved upon the combat massively. But to get the fact that we're getting Mass Effect 2 vibes in a Dragon Age game is fantastic. So this, for me, is the best way to really end this going over the impressions. And this is why I didn't make this a quick little video, because I really wanted to explore these articles fully. Really, really explore them, because this has actually been going on for 3 hours and 15 minutes. But, like, I didn't want to make a quick 10-minute video going, yep, IGN said that, they said this. Kotaku said that, Kotaku said this. Pros, cons, pros, cons. I wanted to really, really delve into these articles as somebody who also has not played this game either. So to really kind of tangibly take away as many takeaways as we can from each of these writers, their impressions of playing several hours of this game. And the takeaway is, for some people, the 10-year wait is worth it. For those who, you know, are holding on for the Dragon Age Origins 2, it's not going to be that. But for those who are up for a new Dragon Age experience in terms of a gameplay POV and want that closure for Solas or Solar Velen, or regardless of how you feel about Solas, for the closure of that story of the Inquisitor, the continuation of that narrative, and also just a brand new Dragon Age game, sprawling, very different from the previous games, on a new continent with new characters. You're up for that. You're not like... And I get it, I'm not saying it negatively. You're not longing in the past. I get why people want an Origins 2. I get that. But I think if you want an Origins 2, you should just play Baldur's Gate 3. Because Dragon Age is not going back to that style. It's pushing. Every game's pushed. It's RPG-ness. It's gameplay-ness. So, yeah, like, I know a lot of us are up for that anyway. So yeah, it's really kind of loosening your expectations and just letting BioWare do what they want to do. And if you like what BioWare do, you're in for a good time, I think. Fun stream, thank you. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for this overview, much appreciated. Exactly, Villainous, exactly. Thank you for sitting here and watching me and chatting with me for the past flipping 3 hours. I really, really appreciate it, everybody. Just Cowboy says Griefball 2 Is it really? I've heard it's in early access. Oh, Emirates, I appreciate that. Honestly, when I started the stream, I was overwhelmed because everybody was saying so many things, and I was trying to avoid spoilers, and I was trying to like look at things from without getting spoiled. And I'm really glad that I've been able to do that as much as possible. I think the biggest spoiler we got was about an underground area. Oh, Villainous, thank you, J-Dog. Thank you. Thank you, Waxy. I appreciate that, because that's what I'm trying to do as well. And I remember we were talking yesterday about trying to avoid as much as we can. Oh, JD, I will do. JD, I appreciate that. I will do as many streams as I can as we get closer. As I mentioned, I would be remiss not to mention Rook Club every Wednesday, streaming with a bunch of Discord buddies. We are streaming Rook Club, and it's so fun to read about Tevinter Knights and his characters and things. And next week it's Wigmaker Job, which is Lucanus's, you know, backstory story. and it's a brilliant story. But we have different voice actors, different people coming in from the Discord server, and it's still fun. But other things, I will be streaming. You know, again, I don't have a working relationship with BioWare. I am all for, I haven't played the game early, so I am just going to be talking about speculation, theories, and looking at articles and trying to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. Unless we are deliberately talking about something, and I'll mention that in the title or the description. It's true, though, it's hard to avoid spoilers. I have kind of taken a break off Twitter and just keeping away from it. I haven't been out today, for example. But yeah, so things I will cover on stream, I mean, there'll be lots of things. I've also got a few more extensive videos to make. But the content that I'm producing is very much based on still theories and speculation. I don't have an inside look at the game. So I'm talking about my file in my next video. That is based on the reveal trailer that we got last month in August. Based on a tiny, big thing. That's the only spoiler notion of that. It's then all based on lore, tinfoil, and just a lot of my musings on my file. It's probably going to be one of my last theories before the Veilguard comes out, which is crazy to think. But I would say it's definitely a worthy last theory because it sets up everything that I have always thought that is like eponymous of Dragon Age. And that's all I'll say. I will let you all enjoy it. But thank you all so much for joining me, watching me for so long. I think I can see so many of you have been here for 3 hours as well. I really appreciate it. Do take care of yourself if you are trying to avoid spoilers. Have tags on. Watch content or listen to content or be aware of content creators. I know those who are Dragon Age content creators are aware and will have spoiler tags. But if you are watching more of the casual content creators, just be careful in terms of watching the content. I am going to watch Mr. Matty's video at some point, but I might watch it with my eyes closed or turn away or just listen to it. Just because there's so many things. You know, my biggest thing, final little thing, is we've waited 10 years for this game, and I do not want it to be... we know enough now. I want to be in a vacuum of time when the game comes out that I can enjoy it, not get spoiled anymore, and take my time with it, be slow with it, be slow with getting into content creation, if I can be, and just be able to enjoy it. Because we've waited, this has been 10 years of our lives. And to kind of play the game in a week and finish it, I'm probably going to be doing that anyway, but I at least want to do it by taking my time and enjoying it. And that's why now we're entering that point where I don't want to see too much now. Even seeing the Alephan Forest, even knowing more about Balara, even knowing that, like, Nev has a pet cat called Sprinkles that she pets every time you talk to her about griffins. That's also made up, by the way. Unless she does have a pet cat called Sprinkles. But, you know, there are things the tiny things I really do want to be kept secret. Seeing the character creator, I want that to be a secret until I actually jump in, or unless they release a demo. But until we're actually playing the game. So, that's why I'm very much in the same boat as all of you guys of, you know, like, I'm trying to avoid spoilers as much as possible, while also being a content creator at the same time. So there's a few things that I'm remiss about, like I'll just say the reveal about a particular Witch of the Wilds in the release trailer, which I know I've got thumbnails on anyway, and we all talk about that anyway. But there are certain spoilers that I don't mind because it's been published by BioWare. But now we're in that terrain where, you know, a lot of the press and the creators who went to the events can literally show you a bit of gameplay that might mean nothing to them, but means like, oh, by the way, you know, Gillian's got a massive pet spider who's actually Corypheus' best flatmate from when he was like 10, and that's actually linking back to Rook's blood magic. That then tells you all about Solas when he used to have dreadlocks and smoke weed back in the day with Andrew. You know, like the tinfoil goes that deep. But no. We have, did we say 6 weeks today? I believe we've got 6 weeks today. So we don't have long. We have long, but we don't have that long in the grand scheme of things. So stay safe out there. Be careful of spoilers. And I will have some, I'm working on my next video almost imminently. But again, Rook Club will be happening, and I will be streaming, a lot more in October as we get even closer to the Veilguard. And well, over those streams might even be everything we know from a development point of view so far about the game, or or whatever people really want to talk about. But we'll be trying to avoid as much spoilers at this point now as much as we can. But all, thank you so much. Yes, Emily, finish that chapter. Whoop! Excited to read it. But thank you all so much for listening me dribble on for 3.5 hours. Honestly, I really, really appreciate it. I've been drinking sleepy tea. It hasn't been working because we have literally been tinfoiling and chatting for ages. But no, really appreciate you all so much for tuning in and checking out. Also, if you're watching this afterwards, really, really appreciate it. But I will see you in the next one. I'll have a video working on over the weekend. And it won't really be too spoilery besides the release date trailer that mentions A Witch of the Wilds. And then we'll see what other content I'll be dabbling into after then. I do have a few other fun little things that I'm going to be working on as well as Rook Club next Wednesday. So plenty of things coming from me. But I will see you all later on. And thank you so much. And how crazy was it that the American Rook voice actor literally joined the chat for a brief moment? What the hell? Jeff Berg. Anyway, I will